All righty, we are back. We're back, Ryan.
Yes, sir. Chipping away at these, right?
We're working on them,
We're
dude.
working on them.
Episode 2. Welcome to the Rowdy Ones. Just Ryan and I here tonight. If you're listening instead of watching, we we were blessed enough to have Ronnie and Jackson on our previous episode, so that was a really fun one. That was a bunch of off the wall stuff. I really enjoyed it though.
Yeah, I think
We
that's you gotta let conversations flow the direction they want. So it was a
uh,
good time.
it went to cheeses and lunch meats, and then I got on a hunting kick. That
Nothing wrong
happened.
with any of that.
That happens though. No, it was a good first one. That was a lot of fun though. Jackson with his big old Oakleys.
Oh
So,
yeah, it's always nice when you can get a couple people in one place too, instead of just being,
mm-hmm.
you know, over the internet, not really connected as much as you want.
Oh, 100%, one hundred
So,
percent. So
so we
now,
are looking forward to the future. I'm sure we're going to do a lot of these, live at
mhm.
events, so we can all be in one room, have more people on, and
Yeah, that's when it's going to be really great. I think we're gonna have a lot of fun things to look forward to with this. Um, so you know, I'm really excited for where the direction's going, and I'm not just speaking about this. I'm really excited about where this is going, but I'm really excited about where the team is. Um,
yeah, I
it
guess to catch
is,
people up, we're a week post the 2025 opener in Tampa. Uh, you could look at the results and think they're kind of disappointing. We ended up in fifth place again, which we ended up a lot of times last year. But knowing the group of individuals we have around us right now, I couldn't be more excited about it too, because I know everyone's positive, looking out for the other one's best interest, doing whatever they can to make sure that that person's succeeding, instead
mhm.
of sometimes you could have people almost rooting for someone to fail so they could get a shot, and there really isn't any of that. We're all on the same page, so if we're our starting point is where we left off last year, I do think there's only room to go but up. So
I think the same thing. It is going to be really exciting. Um, for Oh, by the way, the wife says hi.
I'll tell her hi as always.
He says hi as always. Hello. So you know, inside of it, I was really excited to at least be where we were last year with a
Mm.
pretty brand new roster. We also brought on Andy for this tournament. Really, it was really exciting to see him play. I was really impressed. I didn't even know. I showed up, new guy
Yeah,
rolling in, and I was like, oh,
it was a last minute one. We did something a little different going into this event. We normally practice, another top pro team, but this event we went in and we were down at Wasteland Paintball Park, and we practiced two semi-pro teams, the Oilers and the Outlaws, and both really good semi-pro teams. But it gave us a chance to just kind of work on what we needed to work on, grow as a team a little more. And Andy
mm-hmm.
was playing with the Oilers there, but you could tell he had it. That was the first time he had really ever even played against a whole team of pro players, and he had it on the field. I mean, I saw an Instagram post that was like, "Oh man, Houston Heat figured out how to clone Ronnie," and it is funny because
Yeah.
like their statures, their kind of jitteriness, their playing
Mm-hmm.
style is very similar, and I think that only behooves us to have another fast, small, aggressive player on the snake side to add in with Chad George, Ronnie when he plays over there. Maybe I'll get over there
Yep.
sometimes, but now we have an
Mm-hmm.
Andy over there. Just gives us more depth in those important positions. All the
Yeah.
positions on the field are important, but the more these fields are these days, you need a really good center presence with someone who is willing to get creative and produce. And I think, between Jackson and Soap, we've added to that this year. I think you need an aggressive tape line. That's both the snake side and the Dorito side. So now it just gives us more options.
100%. No, and with that being said, so is Andy? Is he official?
So going into the event, it was a one event thing, but also
Mm-hmm.
we wanted to have him come out of practices. I don't think he did anything in the event to prove that he doesn't belong here. So I think I don't
Possible.
know. I haven't like fully talked to Ryan about it, but I mean,
Yeah.
I know he's at least coming to our next two practices, and I would say it's definitely more official than not. I mean, I think he's a player, and he's 23 years old. It adds some more youth to our team,
Yeah.
but he's a player who, asks all the right questions, uh, played with a chip on his shoulder right from the beginning. So it only helps a team to have more of those guys around. And that only puts our roster at 9. So we're not in a territory where, it starts really affecting spins and stuff. So
Yeah.
yeah, I think it's official. I mean, barring something happening where, but like
That's fair.
there's yeah.
Yeah.
So
No,
I'm
it's
excited
a
about that. That was,
yeah.
I think, a good change. I think all the Blast Camp kids, they fit in great with our guys. We are really building like a really strong cohesive unit.
Yeah.
And this tournament, even after the tournament, that was still only like 12 days together as a team playing
Yeah.
paintball. So I
Yeah.
already think our communication is leaps about above where it was at points last year. So
Mm.
if you can have good communication 12 days in, I'm excited to see what that grows into, because with good communication comes results,
Yeah.
and even though, like I said, we still lost that Sunday game, missed out on the semifinals. That was a really good back and forth game against a good team. I thought we were competitive in it the whole way. I'm not You're never happy with that, but
No.
you know about where you're at, and you know what you need to work on to move forward. And I think we're in a decent spot.
100%. And like I said, we didn't do any worse than last year. That's huge with the rebuild that we have going on, I think, inside of Heat. Um, but there was potential to be past that.
Yeah.
Like
I
a
think,
lot
from the outside looking in, I think, people expected us to do worse, but I
they did.
promise you,
Yeah.
from the inside, there wasn't one player on this
Mm.
team who didn't expect to be, as
Sunday.
good, if not better,
100%.
competing to win events at all times. I mean, we still have a roster that has, a pedigree of winning, and now we have
Hmm.
youth added to that, and
Yeah.
we can push each other both directions, and
Hmm.
I I really think that's just such a good dynamic to have. So, like I said, the results are what they are. I mean, if we would have played a little better, we could be singing a
Yeah.
different tune. But well,
100%.
we did a lot of good things that weekend to help our growth.
And now we have a baseline.
Yeah.
We got a baseline, and it was really cool.
You only have baselines as long as you can keep them, though. Every tournament, every practice we got to keep getting better. You can't rest on your laurels, things like that. And I know that you understand that, but
Yeah.
I think it's important you don't know who's listening and stuff. And to say baseline, it's like, you know what a reasonable expectation is if you didn't perform as good as you could perform. Now
Right.
you could always do worse than that, and you still have to put in more effort than even before to keep growing. But if you look at baselines in those terms, then yes, I agree with you. But
Yeah.
I think it's
That
hard to say there's baselines in sports, because it's like it's so performance based that every time
it
could be
is
failure if you're in the wrong headspace.
100%. I don't think we have that though.
No,
I don't
no,
think.
no, no.
I don't think that. And what I meant by baseline is now we have something to drive
Mhm.
harder for. We got that
Yep.
baseline. We know where it's at, and now we build off of it.
Yeah.
And I think it's going to be really great things to come. It was really exciting to see the players that actually came
Yeah.
up and
Yeah.
said, "Y'all look great," and
And
that's a
like I said,
huge
though,
compliment.
it is a big compliment, but you still have to keep things grounded, because,
Oh
last
yeah,
year after Vegas, you look at the Hurricanes, they could have said, like, their baseline is now a finals
100%.
team. Everyone told them how good they were playing, and then the rest of the year they struggled. They looked better again, actually, in Tampa. I thought they were playing really well again,
Hmm.
but we're one event in, so you can't really do a baseline without averages as far as statistics work, things like that. But
Understand.
we didn't take a step back, and that's
Right.
important, you know?
That's exactly, you know, every how to describe this. At the disappointment from internal of how we ended up because we knew our potential was huge,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah, and I think as a
But that's
team,
just
and individually, we left a lot out on the field. So,
yeah. But I think that's just part of our growing pains right now. And I think it's only gonna build and I'm excited as a team. I'm getting to see y'all practice more this year than
yep,
y'all have before. I think this is gonna be, I think we're gonna get through these growing pains.
yep. Yeah,
Fifth
we already
place with
have 2 more practices set up at blast camp with the whole team before the layout weekend,
Yeah.
and like all our guys practice, but to have more time together as a full squad, it really goes above and beyond. Because like even when I
Yes.
practice, sometimes like if it's just me out there and not the full team, like your communication goes down. You're
Hmm.
using different calls. You're not working within the framework that your team is building. So sometimes different things are needed, right? Like
Hmm.
if I'm playing with worse players, like I might just need to go out and shoot a bunch of people. That doesn't necessarily make you better. You could think you're playing well, but once you're in a dynamic of surrounded by great players against great players, now you have to fit that puzzle piece as well
Hmm.
as play to the best of your ability. And
Right.
sometimes without practicing with your entire team, it is difficult to have that. Now, I'm not
Hmm.
saying that you have to do that necessarily every weekend. I mean, gun time's really important too. You want your gun to be second nature to you.
Right.
You want that to feel like it's so natural in your hand that like it feels weird without it. Of course, all
Yeah.
that helps,
Yeah.
but you need some extra time to get the knowledge of the team, to know your teammates tendencies and their body language.
Yeah.
Look at Heat before. Maybe I don't think we had to play as much together as a team, and it wouldn't have affected us as much because all of us had played together over a decade. Would it have helped still? Of course, but we're
Yes.
not missing out on that teamwork and understanding because we're also
Yeah.
innately entwined, some good and some bad, because you sometimes you get
Right.
comfortable in those situations and elsewise. But as far as like actually knowing what the other person was thinking on the field, that was second nature, and that's
Yeah.
what you need on a newer team with newer guys. You need
Hmm.
that more just time on the field together, time off the field together. Because
Yeah.
a lot of times, like the way people think and talk and interact off the field can translate over. Not all the
Hmm.
time. Some
No,
players
for
can
sure.
flip a switch. Like I look at a player like Blake Yarber, and off the field, like if you met anyone, like you'd think he was just a big teddy bear, and on the field, he's like one of the meanest, like nastiest players. So it's like there's that switch, but still, if you actually talk with him and you can see his way, his like brain processes questions and problems and problem solves, that all does carry over. So
Yeah.
it's just more time together.
For sure. And I'm really excited for that. I don't think this team has been this hungry in a while. I mean, I'm not, and I don't mean that in a sense as you don't want to win, but I'm like, this year, y'all have something to prove.
Yep.
Y'all have something to prove you're hungry. It's like La Papa said, someone asked on the Instagram page, they said, what, how do you switch? And Cody was like, man, he goes, you cross that net, it's jungle. He goes, eat or be eaten. And he goes, I'm here to eat. We
Yeah.
have that mentality and we have that drive and the hunger. And we are coming out this year, I feel like, with a chip. And it is a
Mhm.
very big chip on our shoulders
Yeah. Yeah. I
because,
think the more a team that knows how to win loses,
mm,
the more you can forget how to do it. And not you don't forget how to win, but what you do is you start worrying about not winning, right? And then if you
right.
start having all those things in the back of your head, people will question themselves and not make the moves or make the sacrifices needed to
Hmm.
win games and win points and win tournaments. So it's like you're 100% right. You need to be able to be hungry, and like obviously
Hmm.
like I felt like we are all hungry before, but maybe we weren't all on the same page because we had been failing for longer than we had failed as a team together before. So everyone has different ideas on how to fix it, right? So
Yeah.
if those ideas aren't copacetic, then you run into problems because now you're bashing, you're stagnated, but you're also trying to fix it. But sometimes people have ideas that are polar opposites, so you're
Mm.
working in different directions, and
Yep.
and you just without any of that, teamwork and unison and like one mind, you can't build towards it. So with a new team, it's easier if you have guys that are all on the same page on what we need to do to win, what we need to do, the way we should be playing, the speed we should be playing at, how we should be, you know, developing these practices. And obviously a lot of that's coaching down, but players, especially at our level, have a lot of say in that too. The dynamics of a
Yeah.
practice, the pacing of a practice, because no matter what a coach has scheduled, it's the intensity you're going out at. It's the arguing between people to play every point in a practice, to get the
Right.
reps in a practice, and not the people like, oh, I'll sit. Like those are the things that like you can see. And those are the things that I'm excited about with this team. And that's from top to bottom, someone who's played a few points pro and Andy to someone like Mishka who's won, I don't know, a couple handfuls of World Cups.
Yeah. 7.
No,
It's
he's way
interesting.
over that. He's
Is
at
he really? Oh,
9, 10, somewhere in there. So it's like,
wow.
so we run the gambit of that, but what I see is the desire in everyone to grow and the wherewithal to know that we need to do it in the same direction and have the
Hmm.
same purpose. And I think
Yep.
right now we're uniquely pointed in that, singular focus right now. And anything bad can change that. So that's where you have to be vigilant and stay on course and make sure that you hold each other accountable and make sure while you're holding other people accountable that you're willing to take accountability. Because when people are telling you things, good or bad, they're only telling you for the best of your interests, right? So if you're
100%.
hearing it from multiple people, don't fight that. You can, explain why you did something, do something like that, but take in what they're saying because they're saying it for a reason. And sometimes they're right, sometimes you're right, and sometimes right is just a nice combination, a nice meeting point of both of your ideas. But if
Right.
you're always going to be, you know, fighting that and always going to be so like guarded, then you're never going to grow to the potential that you have.
Right. No, I agree with that. And, I don't know if we, and this isn't a dig, this is just a fact. I don't know if we had that before.
And, and we
Recent years.
And with the same group of guys, we have had it. You're right, though. Like I said,
Yeah.
we lost some of that, and a lot of that was, it was a lot of guys like longest losing streak, if I'm being putting it bluntly, and
Yeah.
everyone's going to react to that differently too. And it's not a right or wrong, but it does have to be an agreement.
It does. And, having and this is something any team at any point in their, like, in their life of where their team is at, whether it's D4, semi-pro, pro, if you don't have a healthy team and everyone can, you come in and tell them, hey, this is not right. And that person can either take it good or bad.
Yeah.
That's a great thing about having a really healthy team
And people
is
can relate to this outside of paintball and outside of sports
100%.
in general, because a team like that works the same in work. You might not be able to be as blunt with people. You
Yeah.
might have to beat around the bush a little more, but a healthy operating team who's all excited to work for each other is more
Yes.
successful and more fun
100%.
to be in. And that makes you want to try harder because the whole environment's better. But as soon as the environment starts being toxic, individuals become toxic too. And that's
Hmm.
every individual across the board usually, that you could have the most positive person in the world become more toxic than they would have been because everything around them feels that way.
Right. And I think where we're at as a team right now, I think it's very healthy. I think everyone takes every bit of information as growth, which is great. Um, you know, like I said, I don't know if previously we exactly had that, and it's not a dig, but it was just sometimes people would get just so worked
Mhm.
up over being said, "Hey, you made this call. That guy wasn't there. I was
Yeah.
looking there. He wasn't there." And I think it just wound some people up in the wrong way. Not like, hey, let's just fix this. Let's make sure, whatever it may be, right? Whatever instance. But I think where we're at right now as a team is
But I
just
also will relate that to marriage in a sense too, which is like I'm just saying, like, I agree with you, but we still have to work so hard to make sure that it stays that way, right? You have to put in the
100%.
work to make
Oh,
sure it
yeah.
stays that way. Cause like you look at a marriage, like my grandparents were married, 50, 60 years, and they'd be, he'd be calling her a hatchet head and doing this and that. You're not, you're being like, you can be shorter with each other and things like
Yeah.
that. And that can
Yeah.
become bad, but it can also just become what it is. And right now we're one event in, 12 days of playing together in. That's
Yeah.
essentially a honeymoon phase, right? So it's
Oh,
easy
yeah.
for something to be good when everyone is like, happy about this and trying to work towards it. But it's I'm excited to see how we can rebound from tough times. Like hopefully we never have to have this, but we will.
Oh, yeah.
That's life in sports too. So when we have
Yeah.
tough times, I want to see how our team rebounds from that, how we deal with those issues, because I think that's what makes you grow as a team more once the honeymoon phase is over and
Oh,
it
yeah.
becomes slightly redundant, and not in a bad sense, but
Right.
redundancy is just something that happens when you do something over and over and over again, right? And that's what
Yeah.
we do. Like we're out there trying to, win these events, and we're doing it on different fields and with different people and sometimes different sponsors. But in the end, we're doing the same thing over
Yep.
and over and over again. So we have to be, willing to keep a healthy relationship with that thing and
Oh, yeah.
always work towards that healthy relationship, because it's always it's always a lot easier to lose than it is to get right. You could do the right things for 10 years, and then all of a sudden you do something like in super bad taste or something. It would ruin a marriage just like it would ruin a team.
Right.
And then it takes a lot more to get that trust back, right?
100%.
So it's a weird, comparison, but I think it kind of
No,
fits.
no, it does that, and it makes sense. Um, you know, what is it? Easy times create soft men, tough times create hard men, right? When you get through the grinder with the people that you're in, and you actually get through the grinder, it's it grows you if you let it grow you. Um, it's one of those deals where you can make the best of it and learn from it, or you can let it defeat you. But that
Mhm.
is up to per individual. And then when it goes into a team, it's a lot of different characters that have to
Yeah.
accept that fate and then acknowledge it and grow with it. Right. I think I think hard times are very, very important for people, especially
Mhm.
with athletes, especially with teams. I think it's a place where people need those. You need that point of failure in tough times and like just the worst moment you can have and do that as a team and then to come out of it. That's what defines you as a person. Whether
Yeah.
you're playing on the field, whether that's life, you got to accept that and then dominate it, right? Grow from it. And then, there you are. Now you're better from it. So I like tough times. I'm personally in one of those tough times with this plate in my leg.
Oh
Such a
yeah.
hindrance. Yeah, I just went out today for a mile run. It kicked my butt. I had shooting pain through my whole tibia. But it's like one of those deals. You work through it, you grow,
Yep.
and you just accept it.
Yep.
Is it going to keep you down, or are you gonna be like, is this not going to affect me?
Yeah,
It's a mentality.
it's you get to see how powerful a mind is when you like realize what you can get used to, like, right? Like
Oh
something can be completely wrong with someone could go blind, right? And then
yeah.
they're active members of society. It's like, no, we can go through things if you're tough minded, you can get
Yeah.
through anything and come out, in some ways better.
Oh, and oh, dude, something really cool. Talk about tough mentality. His name is Trevor Kennison. He's a buddy of mine. He lives up here in Winter Park. Great guy. Had a snowboarding accident, broke his back, went paralyzed from the waist down. Now this dude is sponsored by Ford Trucks. He is sponsored by Red Bull and a bunch of other companies. And he's a sit skier.
Yep.
The dude, have you ever seen a video of
That's
Corbett's?
that stuff's so gnarly.
Oh,
It's
dude,
the sit
you
ski.
you have no idea. Trevor Kennison was the first person in a sit ski
He dropped
to drop
Corbett's.
Corbett's Coolair.
Yeah.
Check it out
Oh
on.
yeah. Everyone online should definitely, but like, yeah, maybe when I was 20, definitely not now. I've had Chad George try to tell me, you could do it still. I could do it. I'd be like, first of all, I definitely couldn't do it anymore, and you shouldn't be trying it anymore either.
Right.
It's like, I mean, I'm sure it depends on how much snow, but it's like probably like
It's always icy because people get
yeah,
into
it's
that
always icy,
Coolair,
of course. But
and
even like
then
the drop is like a vertical drop for 15 to 20 feet, depending on the
oh
snow
yeah,
level,
and
I'd
he
assume.
dropped it. He didn't
And then it's
enter.
ice. Yeah.
He dropped it, and one of the coolest thing if you watch it on YouTube,
Some
they
of the
had to
pictures
push him.
don't do it justice either because
Oh
it's
no,
almost
you
inverted more than it's like a drop.
there is an overhang.
Yeah.
There's an absolute overhang.
Yeah.
So what's cool thing is like if you check out this Trevor video, they were pushing him so he had speed.
Yeah. Yeah.
Bro sent it. He bounced when he landed because he's in a sit ski, right? So it has a spring in the back for his,
Hmm.
because he can't use his knees, right? And
Yeah.
so that's helped his suspension. Um, now they shoved him off. I mean, he went boop, just like off this thing. Check it out, Trevor Kennison, Corbett's Coolair.
That's
Anyone
awesome.
that's listening, oh, it's rad. And you know what? He downhill mountains bike. He has a sit bike. It's like a trike, two in the front, one in
Oh
the
yeah.
back, and it has a little power electric motor to it. He downhill mountains bike. He's a great guy, but you know, Trevor is a great source of mentality. Are you gonna let this handicap you? Or are you gonna go forward and be better? And guess what? This dude is the gnarliest sit skier out there now,
Yeah.
and
I don't
now
even think I
he's
could balance on one of those, with all of my appendages trying to balance. It's so
I know,
hard to balance on a low center of gravity like
in
that when
one
you're
ski.
sitting. Exactly. Exactly.
Like, you know, so it's a great source of mentality, and it's one
Hmm.
of those things. If you don't have that it's a warrior's mentality.
Yep. Yeah,
Eat or
things
be
might never
eaten.
be the same, but, like, I can succeed in a different way, and I can figure it out.
Exactly.
I won't let
And
this beat me, you know?
yeah, and then you can thrive from it.
Yep.
But you have to want to get through the suck.
No, you have to need it.
Yeah, that
You have
too.
to need to get through it, you know, because just
Yeah,
wanting it's easy to quit when you just want something. You have to truly need things to want to
agreed.
succeed in them, right? Because
Agreed.
at any other time, it's like there's been a lot of things, man. I'd love to do that. I'd want to do that. But like it gets too hard and you're like, I don't want it that bad, you know? But when you
Yeah,
need something, you do whatever it takes to succeed in that.
that's right. It's not a necessity anymore.
Mhm. It is a
No.
necessity.
Oh, sorry. It is a
Yeah, it
necessity.
is a
It's not a
necessity.
want. I'm sorry. I
Yep,
wanted to
yep,
say
yep,
it's not a want anymore.
yep.
It's a necessity.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, you're correct on that. So I'm really excited. The team is just, I feel like we're there. We're hungry. I think what's great is we have such a mix of veterans, new guys. The old guys are making the new guys hungry,
The
and
old
then the
guys
new
aren't so
guys
old,
are,
you know. We're not too
they're,
old.
I'm talking about the old
No,
team
I know, I
members
know.
of E. Come
I
on
know, I
now.
know, I know.
I'm not talking about age old. I'm talking about membership
Our
status.
old guys are still spry.
Don't- they hang with the best of them, dude. I'll tell you that much. But I think the mix of the veterans with the new, it is just a feeding frenzy right now. Everyone's feeding off each other. Everyone's feeling it. Everyone is pumped, and I think being fifth made them want it more. So
Yeah,
I'm
you look
really,
around after that game and people were crushed, but they weren't mentally beaten, you know? Yeah, I looked around and I saw a desire in people's eyes still, like
oh yeah,
more being pissed off that they weren't still playing to prove what we had in us, to still
100%.
left in us. And I want people to be crushed after a loss. I was crushed,
Yeah.
but I want people to be, you know, excited about our next opportunity instead of being having that loss, you know,
Yep.
weigh on you because a loss can motivate you or it can weigh on you, and that's a
Right.
hair trigger which way it goes, you know?
And the difference is crushed or defeated.
Yeah,
There's two differences,
100%.
and no one was defeated.
No.
So that is one of the things that is, I mean, to be honest, shoot, man, everybody was kind of having their time. As soon as it happened, I went to the corner of the tent and just kind of squatted and had a moment to myself.
And
And
that's
it
normally what I
was,
do. Normally, you know, I'll have a little cry to myself. I just need like my emotions need to come out. I need to be somewhere,
yeah,
but like this one, it wasn't like that for me. I just needed to be around the rest of the guys and make sure
hmm yeah,
everyone was on the same page and look in people's eyes and see, you know, feel that, you know, we all felt the same thing and we all know what the
hmm
next steps need to be to get better.
yeah,
So it's like
100%.
every loss you like I said, normally I would have been in that same position, but like
Yeah,
this time it just felt a little different to me and I was glad I was able to, you know,
yeah, for
really
sure.
see into the windows of people's souls, you know, and
Yeah,
see
no,
that it's all the
there's
same.
yeah, no, nothing was jaded. It was
Mhm,
raw emotion that you got to feel and see. So, that is the beauty of those moments. You can see if someone's defeated, or you can see if they're just bummed.
mhm.
And
And
so,
that can be before or after something, you know?
yep.
You can look and see people being defeated before you even start something.
Oh yeah. Yep. Yeah, going into something, it is, if you see someone defeated, it's just going to be a bad day. It's
Mhm,
just going to be a bad day, and that's all it is. But with that being said, I didn't feel that from the team. I think everyone, like you said, was bummed that we weren't playing another point. We weren't
yeah,
out there again, and we weren't out there going into the quarter,
mhm.
you know, or the semi or the finals, right? Like it was just that moment, bummed. After that, everyone, dude, that's the coolest thing though. After that, everyone was like, "Hey, we're staying at the field." That's not how it used to be. People would
No,
just split up. People
be
would
about
split
half and
up.
half, you know?
Yeah, I mean, you know, but everyone was like, "I'm staying." Like, I'm gonna have a beer. I'm
We
gonna hang
also
out.
all
Let's go.
said, you know, it's like, yeah,
Yeah,
I wanna stay, but I wanna do what the group wants to do, and that was the first thing, and everyone's like, "Oh, good, we'll all stay." Like, we all wanna stay.
yeah. We were sitting around having
Yeah.
fries and hanging
Watching a
out,
little bit of
watching
a game
semi.
here or there,
Yeah,
but, you know, just spending
watching.
more time together.
Yeah, we went and watched
Yep.
semi-pro, and then we went over and watched. We bounced. It was just we were bouncing back and forth at the pro field. At
Yep.
one point, you had Andy on your shoulders because he couldn't see.
He's a
You
little
know.
guy. He's a little guy. That made Chad a little jealous, though. I felt like I was cheating on him a bit, and I could see that in his eyes.
Oh yeah, he was like, "That's not me up there." Oh no, I saw that for sure, and that's what
I think he actually
But
said, "That would have been me, Andy, a couple years ago." I was like, "It still could have been." He asked.
yeah, you just
I
have
was
to
just
ask.
showing off my strong legs.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. There was one guy. I have a picture. This one guy was walking by and just looked at y'all, and he's like looking up at Andy and was like, "What the hell is going on?"
Andy had the
It,
best seat in the house.
Andy had the best seat. He had the highest point of view besides Matty Marshall. So you know, it was a good time. But no, it was a really great time. I mean, shoot, how long did we stay at the field? 2, 3 hours after?
No, longer than that. We were there until, after the finals, so I
Yeah,
don't know, 4 or 5 hours.
yeah. No, it was super cool, and it was good to have that team
And I like that,
mentality.
it's like, man, I don't care how long I've been doing this, but you're only at like a major league paintball tournament Sunday 5 days a year, you know?
That's right.
Why try to leave? It's just you're around thousands of people that, dedicate their life to the same thing that you love to do. It's nice being around that. It's nice seeing mm, competitors, ex-teammates, friends, other industry people that fans, family that you don't get to see that much, but, like, you're all
Yeah,
there loving what you do, so why try to rush away from that as soon as possible just because you feel a little bad, right? Because
yeah.
being there could bring joy to other people too, and it can bring joy to yourself, like, you can get joy back
Oh, yeah.
from it. You can remember what you love about it instead of, like, always just, you know every time a professional team leaves a paintball tournament, 19 teams are disappointed and only one team's happy. So
Right.
don't leave the field every time as soon as you're that disappointed just to get out of there because you're running away from the thing that you need the best to start succeeding in. You need to
Yeah,
immerse yourself in it.
100%. And, you brought up a great point. It's not just about you. It's about the team, it's about the fans. You know how many people I saw just come up to y'all, talk to y'all, just people that were fans, genuinely happy you were there. Everyone was like, I love the look of heat. Like they were just people were ecstatic to come up and talk to y'all. And I think that's huge to be there for those people because that's how you keep your fans, that's how you keep
Mm,
your friends, your families. Like it's a great thing. And those people spent money to get there.
yeah, and I
They
can't speak for other people, but I mean, it's super humbling to me, but it's also very motivational because I know that I have to continue to perform and continue to get better and not let people down that, I might be their favorite player or play on their favorite team or their most hated player, but it's my responsibility to do everything that I can to, to represent myself fairly to people that, look up to you in any way
yeah,
or even appreciate what you do.
100%. And I think it's not that I am in your shoes, but I am humbled for y'all. I am humbled to be in y'all's presence when I get to be there and witness just the joy that y'all bring to people.
Mhm.
And like people are ecstatic when they get to come up to you and say hi. Like and I think that's for any pro player that has someone
Mhm.
walk up to them and say hi, shake your hand, give you a hug, high five, get an autograph, you know, and I think that's like it makes me reminisce and it
Yeah.
makes me very
Yeah. Yeah.
humbled to be in the presence.
Yeah,
And so
happiness and love isn't a zero-sum game, right? Like, you don't give me 5%, and now you're 5% sadder. Like, you can make each other happier and more and healthier, and, and all those things are good, and you might not be in our shoes, like, as a professional paintball player, but, like, you were a professional wakeboarder for a while, you've done other extreme sports from I know you don't like talking about yourself, but I'm saying, like, you've been in those shoes before with
mm,
people looking up to you,
yeah,
whether no matter what it was you were doing.
yeah. And it is such a blessing. There was a kid last year, and I know I asked him too close after the point. He had to get out of there. He was leaving. Um, y'all had just took it. Y'all's loss on Sunday. I think it was Chicago. This kid, he came up to me and he one of the parents' guardians that was there because he was playing on a team. I don't know, he's probably 11, 12, maybe. Like his guardian came up and was like, "Hey, it mean a lot if he can get everybody's autograph. His mom has breast cancer in a more serious stage. I think it was stage 4. Um, and he was like, he would really love the, you know, he would really love the autographs from the whole team." I said, "I'll make it happen." And I knew someone was going to chew my ass, say it was too soon. You know what? That ass chewing's fine. I had
I'd be
someone.
on theirs if I heard that.
What's that?
I said if I heard anyone do that to you, I'd be on theirs because
Well, that person's not with us anymore, and that's okay. He chewed my ass, and I didn't even. I asked him. I said, "Are you done?" I said, "His mom's got cancer. He's got to bounce, dude." And I blew him off quicker than a 50-mile-an-hour wind blowing a tumbleweed. Right? Just didn't matter to me because I knew what y'all were gonna do for this kid in his probably one of his hardest times of life. Right? Y'all were an imprint. Y'all did something beyond what you realize because I don't think I told any of y'all till well after, and y'all didn't know. But everyone, even after the loss on Sunday, everyone went over there and signed it, gave the kid a hug, sent the kid on his way, right? Like because he had to bounce, and that's what I love about Houston Heat itself.
it's just being a decent person, though. Like it's you shouldn't have to work for something like that. And I actually want to say something because like a lot of times after those losses, like people still ask to take pictures with me and stuff. And a lot of times joking, I'll say like, "Oh, I'll even put on a fake smile." But the truth is, it is a real smile because I'm happy to take pictures with them. It's a
Yeah,
it's a harder to produce smile because you're bringing it out of sadness, but it's still real. So like I joke about it being fake a lot of times, and but that's more of just to get them to laugh to get me to smile a little easier.
yeah.
But
Because
like
how
the,
many
the
times
truth
do
of
they
the
laugh
matter
after
is it
that?
yeah yeah usually, but
Yeah,
now I can't say it anymore. Now it won't feel special. But no, but for
we were
real, it's
thinking the
like,
same thing.
but it's
Sorry.
just one of those things. It is real. It's just harder at that time, but you
It
still
is.
appreciate it. It still brings happiness to
Yeah.
you and to them. It's like, I don't know.
And I think that's what I love about Houston Heat, especially now. Everyone we have right there is beyond genuine. They love their fans. They love the people that make them show up and show out, you know, even when
Maybe
it
no
is
one more
hard.
than
Yeah.
Ronnie D's on this. So make sure you like and subscribe to his YouTube channel. D's on Docs. He's the man.
Also, check out while we're doing shameless plugs, Jackson Frey on YouTube as well. He got that old grainy footage going.
Actually, what he's doing with that camcorder is awesome. Like, I love
Oh,
that.
it's dope.
Yeah.
It's dope. But I think sorry, my lungs are jacked up after my first run in a while.
Oh,
8,000
yeah.
feet running hits you a little different.
It does hit you a little different.
It hits you a little harder, a lot harder. But he actually looked at me. He goes, "I broke my toggle." He broke the zoom in and out toggle on this thing. I was like, "Oh no." I was like, "You good?" He goes, "Camera works. Can't zoom in and out anymore."
Is that why he was backpedaling and going forward so much?
Uh, probably.
No, he wasn't. He wasn't. It
Was
would have
he?
been funnier though.
I'd have been hilarious. He's like running back and forth to get the zoom
Yeah.
in, bounce back, and fucking, yeah, it'd have been good. Yeah, shameless plugs. Jackson Frey on YouTube. Ronnie D's on. Like, follow, subscribe, comment, whatever you do on the YouTubes.
Just do whatever you feel like doing. If you hate it,
Yeah,
don't do any of it. But but they're out there trying to create something for, to give back as well. And like I
yeah,
appreciate anyone who's willing to, you know, take time out of their day to try to create content for something because they grew up
100%.
looking at content. I think I probably still have, boxes and boxes of all the old magazines from when I was a kid. I had all the subscriptions. I'd read through every one of them probably 20 times,
Yeah,
just and we don't have that anymore. So that is, our YouTube creators, our all the people that do that. Like I'm appreciative of everyone that has podcasts from like Shelby, and a lot of the photographers and videographers do them.
Yep.
Obviously, I think Tyler and Marcella do a fantastic job with Play the Game.
Yeah.
Ryan and Kyle do something completely different. I really like Joe Barrett's travel podcast. It's like all these things like are just different ways to hear different perspectives on the sport we love. It's like
100%.
it's and you got to appreciate anyone willing to try to carve out a little area where hopefully they can affect someone.
100%. And then don't forget Great American Paintball. We got it back. We got it back on a form of paper.
Yep.
One of the greatest things. Shout out to them. When I first
Yeah.
started running the Instagram page, I didn't even have anything. I was like, I have no content.
Yeah.
Right. And I hit them up. They were so gracious. No hesitation. Yeah, we got you. Sent me some photos.
Right.
Plus, Frazee.
That's a straight passion project for them. He brought it back because he wanted it, and those are the projects that always turn out the best because they have someone's heart and soul in them. He's an artist from the time he was a little kid. He's still an artist in different outlets. And this is just another way for him to express himself in something that, and anytime you have someone like that making something, it's going to be good. You're going to appreciate it.
But it is like unreal good though.
It's big though. It's unwieldy. Like I'm not pulling that out on an airplane to read it. It's an awesome centerpiece or showcase coffee table book. What if they put legs on it? So it was a coffee table book that was a coffee table.
Ooh,
that was a Seinfeld episode. That was the Seinfeld episode. I can't take credit for that.
God, I've got to rewatch that. I haven't seen Seinfeld in forever. Best blooper scene though. Best blooper scene out of Seinfeld is when he swallowed the cigarette. And that was totally accident.
Mm-hmm.
He just went along. They had the best cast. It was so good.
Yeah, it was a fantastic show. It was one of those ones for me. Like as a child, I grew up watching it with my dad, and my wife likes it too. So sometimes it's just like the background noise bedtime like show that you don't have to pay attention to. But like I probably know too much about every Seinfeld episode, and it's like even when Jason Trozen was like my teammate and a coach after that, like that was one of his favorite shows. So like we watched it a bunch or talked about it a bunch, and it's just a good show.
Speaking of J-Tro, man, I feel bad for him. That dude puts his heart and soul in him. I feel like he sometimes gets pretty beat up.
That's a role of a commissioner. So you can't feel bad for him. I mean,
I can feel bad for a man. Don't tell me how I can feel. I can feel bad for him.
I'm saying that is the commissioner's role. If a commissioner is not getting beat up, something's wrong because they're not taking that on from someone else. Like,
no, for sure, and I understand that's how he figures out how to move and improve.
Yeah.
Right.
But it's clearly obvious how much he still cares and loves paintball. Like he doesn't like being in the spotlight. Maybe I'll be able to get him on our show. I bet.
Dude, that'd be a blast. Like I would love.
If he heard this, he'd probably go, absolutely not. But I think I can, and like I think it'd be good for him because he's not a person that wants any credit for anything. Doesn't like the limelight. He was a little fancy when he played. He used to play with a 22-inch barrel and stuff. So I'd say he had a little of it back then, but he's changed a lot in the past. But like it's like, man, you retire from playing all those years ago. You might become a coach for a while. You're not a coach anymore, and you're still the commissioner of the league. Like that is the same passion that we all have. Yeah. And like, I don't feel bad for him for the hate he takes as a commissioner because I think that is that role. But I do appreciate it, and I appreciate the love that I know is still clearly evident in the sport for him.
He wouldn't be doing it if he didn't love it. That's a fact.
But you talk to him, but you know what he really means,
Yeah.
He's not like a Roger Goodell getting $54 million a year to be a commissioner and get the hate.
Facts. But no, J-Tro, if we got J-Tro on here, that'd be a really fun. I would love to have him on, and I'd love to give him a little platform for him to speak on because he's kind of that. I feel
he's
like
a storyteller. I'll tell you that he's a storyteller.
I love it.
Like obviously when we were younger, we were a lot closer. We lived in the same house for a while, and when we were all, teams on our Philly Americans team house, a lot of good times. So a lot of good stories, a lot of bad stories, but a lot of stories. And he was always the life of the party, when he was around, and he could hold court per se, and like you might not see that side of him now, and like I've definitely grown farther away from them. It just happens as
That
people grow
happens.
older and have
Yeah,
kids and families and stuff. But like that doesn't take away from the amount of really good times that we've had together and stories and traveled the world together. You
yeah.
know, and he's my birthday brother too. We were both April
Is he
18th
really?
guys. Yeah, yeah, not same year, but
A little different on the year, but that's
yeah,
fine.
not too different. Just a couple off.
Yeah, yeah. But no, I think he'd be a lot of fun. I'm really, I'm really excited what's come with us at the Rowdy
Yeah, and I
Ones.
think like we talked about, it's like this isn't an always a guest type of podcast
No.
because it's just a conversation type. We're not gonna ask a lot of like question and answer interviews. I don't think that's either of our intentions. I'm sure there'll be
No.
times where it happens, but we just want people to be able to get a little insight to the way our brains work and the way we
Mm-hmm.
think about the situations as a
Yep.
team, as friends, as just adults.
Yep.
And with that, though, we definitely would like to have guests on occasionally from
Yeah.
within paintball and without out of paintball.
Yeah.
Just people that have unique perspectives on life and people that have succeeded in very tumultuous situations, and
Mm-hmm.
people that are willing to go through hell to come out the other side. So I think
Mm-hmm.
we can get that in a lot of different ways, and those are the guests that I think that will eventually work in towards getting, because that's the
Mm-hmm.
kind of stories that I want to hear. Those are the conversations I want to have.
And I have someone lined up, and I'll drop him. He said whenever we get it rolling, he said
Yeah,
let
yeah,
him know. Cody Alford.
yeah.
If you don't know who Cody Alford is, amazing human being, United States Marine Corps Raider. Um, right now, he has Defy the Norm. Shout out, little wrong side. There you go. A little bit of Defy the Norm. Um, his whole aspect on life, he is a motivator, he is an inspirator, he is someone that drives you. And if you ever listen to his podcast, or he was on the Sean Ryan show on the Real Ones, with John Bertrall. I can't pronounce the last name. He played in Fury. He was in the first season of Walking Dead. um, he but he was on his podcast now. He's been on a lot of podcasts, but Cody, and that's where I got inspired from. Cody is a major driver in life, and he wants the best for everyone. And if you go listen to him, my gosh, like the dude is genuine. He is full of heart, and that's the kind of people we want to have on here because,
Yes.
and part of
That
my
I feel
reason,
like that conversation is going to be out of my league, but like I'm very excited about it. He is like I've
no, you'll
listened to
love
some
it.
of his podcasts, and he's such a good motivator and stuff. And like you said, those are the conversations you want to have with people and you want to share with people because you know,
Yeah, and the whole reason why I wanted to start a podcast, it's nothing about me. I'm You know me, I don't like the limelight. I don't. Y'all were kind enough to give me. Um, Ryan was kind enough to give me a Houston Heat Flux Idol. Ronnie got me my own jersey with my name, number, and it's a Houston Heat jersey. You know, that kind of stuff makes me uncomfortable. It's not because I'm not appreciative. It's because I'm so appreciative, and I never feel like I deserve anything. I'm not someone who feels like I deserve anything.
you're a
I
giver too, and givers
I
have a
am.
hard time receiving.
I am a very big giver. If I like you, I'm gonna give you something.
Yeah, it's your love.
It is. Giving is my love language. My wife says the same thing. But I started. When I hit you up about this, I was like, I want to do a podcast, and I think that was the first thing I said. It was just, I want to do a podcast, and you were like, I'm in. Um, and I didn't want to do it for me.
Mm.
I never, and I know this sounds probably cliche since I'm saying it, but I think it gives a good background of where we're at and what we want. What I wanted was, I wanted to create a podcast so I could interview people,
Hmm.
because I genuinely care about people. I care about their stories, their upbringing, who they are, why they are. how you got here. And I like
In
hearing
some ways, like a good conversation's better than reading a good book, you know what I mean? Because
100%.
it's like current, but you're getting like the viewpoints and you can ask questions about them. So it's like, people look at like obviously like reading a book is like a more intelligent form of like watching a movie. But like having
Yeah.
a conversation is like just putting all that into real life. Like,
Yeah. It is. And I think hearing people's story is very important because, oh, what's the saying? Drawing a blank on it.
God, at least start
It's
it to
not
see if
about
I have a chance.
it's it's not about it's not about what you do in life. It's about how they remember you. How are you going to be remembered when you're gone?
I've heard a few different versions of that. Like, I've heard like it's not about what you do in life, it's who you do it with,
Yep.
which is also a good one. But yeah, it's just
But that is also part of your history. When you die and you're not here anymore, they're going to remember you, and they're going to remember who you did it with. They're going to remember, you know, what you did, not for yourself, but it's more about the selfless things that you've done. And I think that's what I want to share with life, because most of my life stories, and most of those are
they're
probably
pretty
going to be
crazy. And some will get
most.
snuck out on this. I know they will.
Maybe there's no guarantee. I've
I
got the
won't be the
edit.
one dropping any of them,
I got
but
the edit control. I have the power. Because this isn't about me. I genuinely, I think one of the greatest thing is I've gotten to live a life at 34, and I was saying this at 28, 26, 27. I lived a life that was so full. If I died tomorrow,
mm.
I'd be okay. It'd be okay. And it's not to be morbid. It's like
No, I
genuinely,
was always I mean, I was always the same way until, really until I got married and then had a kid. Because then
and
it's
then
like, well, then it's like, not being there is selfish, so then you have to watch what you do a little more, do things like that. But like as
right.
far as like my actual life that I lived, yeah, like I don't feel like I've really ever missed out on anything because I always was willing to take the chances, and
Yeah.
sometimes it ended up worse than it could have, and sometimes it was better. But you just grow from those experiences and appreciate the different unique opportunities that they all bring because every choice leads you down a slightly different path at least.
Yeah. Yeah. No, 100%. And I think what's cool is when I started getting involved in Houston Heat, I didn't expect this journey. I didn't expect to be here. I didn't expect to be on a podcast with you. I didn't expect to be with um I didn't expect to be with Heat where I'm at now. Sarge, God bless Sarge. He trusts me. He knows if he has to entrust me with something, I'm gonna do it, whether it's getting the right paint in the
Sometimes
hectic
that's not
moments or
easy to get from him either. The trust.
yeah.
Sarge is one of those guys you got to earn trust from, and I appreciate that from people.
Yeah. Oh no, and that's a huge reward from Sarge.
Yep.
Because we've had people in the pits, that have probably been there a little longer than me, but they show up and they're probably my age, but I don't think
I
he
appreciate
looks
any of the work anyone in the pits does because
100%.
it's always
It's not a
selfless.
dig. That
It's no,
wasn't a
no, no.
dig.
I know. But I'm just saying it's such a selfless thing. Like you're not getting anything out of it other than the true wanting to help people and be a part of like
Hmm.
s- the winning. It's just it's pretty
Yeah.
selfless, I think. And like, yeah, I think it's a cool, unique opportunity to get to see the insides of a team and the
Hmm.
chemistry and feel those emotions. But you really miss a lot of the other things that you like about paintball too. So it's like, as like a pit crew, like if you're pitting for Houston Heat, chances are Houston Heat might be one of your favorite teams, right? But that
100%.
means you're not getting to ever watch them play live because you're
Yeah.
busy like working. But so like I appreciate anything that people help because it's not like pit crews are getting paid money in this sport yet or anything.
Yeah.
Like a lot of players don't even get paid money. So
Yeah.
it's truly selfless where so it's like yeah, some people work harder than others and some people bring more to the table than others, but in the
Hmm.
end it's at least I think a pretty altruistic cause that they're doing it for.
Yeah. 100%. Great example. John Monville His son's on the team. Guess what? He's probably in all the years, what, 10 to 15 minutes, maybe tops to watch
Maybe
his son play.
he's all business back there. He's a serious man.
He's a serious man.
If he's
That
not,
man
if
runs
he's
it
not,
like a ship.
if he's not running it like a ship, he's slinging jerky. you know?
That man, I mean, if you ever see him, he has the best snack sticks, the best jerky, and it's always wild game. And it's always
Yeah,
something he's
he
made
makes
from
it all
himself
himself.
too.
That's just a
Yep,
patent. That was his passion project.
it
He
was.
likes learning the process of it, making it, and then
And he
sharing it with people.
and I need to get Sarge has talked to me about getting him and John down fishing in Texas, whether it's
Oh,
red
nice. Yeah,
fishing or whatever. But that'd be a lot of fun. Get him with my
that
dad,
would be.
take him out. That'd be a great time. That's
We
something
should get
I'm
Sarge on the podcast sometime too.
100%. I would no, 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 seriously,
I
because
know.
our whole
And
mission
John, honestly,
and
it's like
John,
because
no,
I like people to get
yeah,
the perspectives from people they don't get to hear from a lot. You hear the same people's stories a lot of times, and not that that's a bad thing. It's the
no,
people that probably people want more, but I think you know a lot of people have pretty unique and interesting stories that could help someone, and I think
yeah.
trying to get those perspectives is pretty valuable.
Oh, 100%. And I guarantee you, um, I'm pretty sure if we got Sarge and John on here, that would probably be some of our biggest watched episodes, to be honest, because no one's ever gets to hear from them.
Maybe,
No one,
maybe I don't know.
no one gets to hear from them,
We got
and it's
this
really exciting.
We gotta
When
build this up and see if we got 10 viewers or 1,000 too. It's gonna be a slow process, but
we're gonna make it happen, dude. It's
oh, I
gonna
know,
happen. I'm
I
putting it
know.
out there. I'm manifesting it. But
Oh, I agree. I'm just saying, who knows
I
what
know what you're
episode
saying.
that comes in. Like, that's why, like, I like to do some of these ones without I don't wanna, not
We
give
got to show.
someone who deserves a bigger opportunity to be on one of these episodes where they might not be seen by as many people.
Yeah, no, we're definitely gonna get established and then have people with us. But I think the cool thing, back to how we started this, I hit you up and we were talking and brainstorming, and I was, you know, talking to you about how cool would it be to have kind of in an aspect, a team podcast.
Mhm.
Obviously we're the hosting of it, but we're giving our team the platform to be a team and come to a place like this, come together, talk about things, because no one else is doing this. And I think
Yeah,
it's a
it's a unique opportunity to get the insight of an entire team. Like, so, yeah, is a heat focused podcast, a life centric podcast, but it's about like you see all the other people. They don't necessarily tell you the inner workings of the team, A-
Mhm.
and obviously there's always stuff you withhold and you don't say. But like more than anything, we want you to feel what the vibe is like, what our intentions are, things like that.
And honestly, and this is how I feel, I'm not going to speak for anybody else. My aspect is we do have a following, and I think a very important part of a following, a fans, family. I think it's part of feeling a part of them, and this
Yeah.
is what we want to give to y'all and give to the people who show up and watch, and just be a part of the family, be a part of the team, be a part of, because being a fan after running an Instagram page for Heat, since it's already out there on the previous episode,
Yeah, I'm
it doesn't
sure. I'm
matter.
sure
But
now that
it's
you know, have so much more content going on and stuff too. I'm sure that a lot more inputs coming back to you. I'm sure you're getting a lot more messages than
yeah.
what it was. It was kind of a dead page in the past, and that was on all of us. But uh,
Go ahead.
no, I was just saying. So like now that you've kind of reinvigorated it, and we have a lot more. Like I'm sure there is a lot more fan interaction, and probably to a surprising degree for you.
Yeah, no, and it is such, because I mean, I am where I'm at because I was a fan.
Mm.
I never thought in my wildest dreams I'd be here running the Heat page, being a part of the team, showing up for the events, helping in the pits, being trusted in the pits, like not just showing up for the pits, but being trusted. It's a really cool thing, but I think it goes to show, you know, how loving this team is for its fans. Like, it truly shows how beautiful of workings that it has and how genuine the people are. And what I love about the whole thing is that, it's it's just a fantastic organization. And coming from
There's a reason
the
I've been here since,
players,
2014. Like,
right?
it's a long time to be with an organization. You only do it if, you know,
You love it and it's
it's
good.
solid top to bottom.
Yep. From the fans to Sarge and Mama D, it is just a great
For the
place because
granny
I
heaters that come to every event that we ever play,
love the granny
it's like,
heaters. I love the granny heaters. Them ladies get wild. I love them so much. They're so good. And I know you talked to them too. I was standing there with you. The greatest thing was like they're so excited for us too this year. They are pumped up, ready to go. And
oh, I'm sure they didn't really know what to expect when, they have to meet half a new team and who knows how that's gonna go, and, like, it's
yeah,
exciting for them, though.
it is exciting because new growth is uh is important. And I think that's where we're at. I think
Mhm.
we're just in the beginning phases of what's to come, and it is going to be a super awesome thing. So I'm pretty pumped. But anyways, yeah, I want to kind of hit on you. I want to talk a little bit about you. I know
Oof.
we've had some loud, so oof. I know, oof. Um, so I will be honest. I didn't expect this friendship that I've grown with you, and it's not because
Mhm.
I didn't like you. It's because I didn't know you.
Mhm.
I didn't expect our friendship to be where it's at today. I mean, I bug you probably almost every other day, if not sometimes every day. Um, but but like I mean, it's you've grown a very soft spot in my heart, and I also want to give you a platform to talk about who you are because I think you are just a very crucial spot and a I think you're a rock for Houston Heat after being um the few years that I've been here, just seeing how you're a motivator, you're a carer, you're a giver, you are just that person who's always going to build someone up. And I think I'm putting you on a pedestal tonight. I know I see
I
it
don't
in
like
your eyes.
I don't like this.
I know you don't like it. I know you don't like it, but I have you were up there with my best friend Jade, who goes back to my wakeboarding days. Jade is my rock. Jade has helped me through a lot of hard places, and you've helped me through a lot of hard places. You know what you've done for me, and you've helped me keep my sanity at times, in just very hard times. And I think it's very important for people to know who you are because you are Captain America. You are someone who just has the biggest heart, the biggest patriot. The I think you're very, like I said, I just think you're a rock for Houston Heat. Um, you're just someone that's always going to be there, whether it's good, bad, ugly. You're someone who's going to be there. So I do want to kind of put you on your pedestal tonight. And I know you don't like your flowers, but we're going to do this. Um,
I
so let's
appreciate
talk.
that, and I will say, as far as the friendship's concerned, it's like it's easy when someone's genuine. Obviously, you have
Yeah.
to have like-minded interests and kind of mindsets in some extent, but like it's the genuineness of someone and their truth behind their words that makes you trust someone enough to get close with, and I appreciate that, and it's more than reciprocated back.
Well, and I appreciate that. Now, not to go off on a side quest, but
We could go off on side quests.
no, no, no,
It was
no.
just
You're trying to
ending.
put it off. You're trying to put it off. But you can ask my wife. Pretty much before I started getting in with Houston Heat, I was a very hard person. I was not accepting of a lot of people. Being around y'all again, it's because I'd been done over. I'm like you said, my love language is giving. I would give people more than I had, whether it was money, time, something like that. And it made me a very hard person because I always got screwed over. And I will say this, why Heat and all the team and you have a very soft place in my heart and y'all are, as to say, a keeper of my heart. Um, you know, y'all changed that. And also back to Cody Alford as well. Cody Alford was one of those inspirations that kept me from being a just an angry person. And that's just my own personal past history. But I learned that from
Before you get
y'all
too far, I would
giving.
like to say, as far as like the patriotism stuff and everything, it's like the true patriotisms or patriots are, the people that are willing to fight and die and risk their lives and lose their friends for the country. What the kind of patriot I am is someone that understands that and appreciates it so much that people are willing to, make those sacrifices for the ideals that this country was founded
Yeah,
on. And that's what I like. I like the ideal of America, like you don't always agree with the current government or politicians or this or that, but the foundation that it was built on and the people that have sacrificed and continue to sacrifice, it's to me, it's just showing an appreciation for what I consider the true patriots. So it's like I appreciate the kind words, but I would like to deflect those slightly.
you can deflect, but here's the deal. Here's the other end of the other side of the coin. If you were called upon, you would show up.
Yeah.
So that's also being a patriot, having the courage to show up, and you would if you were called upon. So
Yeah, you never know until
you
you're in that situation, but like I would
you
like to
would
think that I would.
you would, and I will tell you that, and yeah. So, um, but needless to say, y'all have brought me into who I am before y'all, and I hold that dear to me. So I'm gonna give. You made me uncomfortable last week. You gave me my flowers. Now I'm giving you your flowers. Here we go. So, Ryan, you started playing paintball in what year?
1997.
97, right? Mishka was 94. Y'all are close.
Yeah, he's
Y'all are
about
close.
2 years older than me, and he's played a little longer than me.
He's only 2 years older than you? I thought he was older than that.
I
Not
thought
to
he was
shun
gonna.
him.
I thought he was going to be 43 this year. He told me he was going to be 42. That
Is
could
he
have been a
lying?
Russian lie. It could have been. I'll have to look it up. He could be three.
We're gonna steal his ID next
Yeah,
time. We're
yeah,
gonna
yeah.
hold him down and get him.
I'll
Cool,
check
sweet.
it. It's the April 15th because it's on my daughter's birthday. I always have these weird, weird birthdays for the people.
Right. So, all right, started playing in '97. I've heard wild stories about you one day, and now I'm not trying to botch this. Help me because I know I'm not 100% accurate. Um, you have gone into, you were playing for one team, and then the next day you woke up, went down to the hotel lobby, and they told you, and you were mid tournament, by
Yeah,
the way. You know where I'm talking going at.
yeah,
And then you were, you
yeah,
want to run down, or you want me to lead into this?
yeah. I was involved in the first player for player trade that ever happened in paintball. So, in that wasn't until like 2005, though. Er, yeah,
Somewhere around there.
yeah, 2005. It was Chicago,
Okay.
2005. So at that point in time, I played with Miami Effect, the Smart Parts version, for about a year, and like, man, I made a lot of lifelong friends on that team, and Jason Edwards, who's still one of the top players today on Damage. Like, me and him were teammates and really copacetic players together. We grew up
Yeah.
together and really played well together, and
Hmm.
wasn't necessarily happy with the direction the team was going because I thought we had like a lot of potential, but didn't really ever show that. It was harder to win back then, not because the skill level was harder, but the games were longer, right? So if you're playing against a better team and
So go into that. Yeah.
if you're playing two
Sorry.
25-minute halves against a better team, I I mean, you're not playing a 2-1 game ever, right? So like
No.
I've lost a game 17-16. I've at one time at World Cup in the year before I got traded, so 2004 World Cup, we were playing and I won 11 straight points and we lost the game 12-11 because our line started second. Like it was those kinds of situations, right?
Hmm. Yeah.
And then by Chicago that year, our coach Rowdy McDonald, of old All-Americans legacy as well as Oakland Assassins legacy. Before that, it was Bob Long's Ironman when he played for them, but a lot of pedigree. He came up and was like, "Hey, like I think if we trade you, we can get." He's like, "I don't want to lose you, but if we trade you, we can get more pieces to fill in. Like one of you is what it is, but like if we can get 4 or 5 people that we can start, like it could really help us." And Philly has been trying to trade for you, and Adam Gardner owned Philly, Billy Gardner owned Miami Effect. Philly was more successful. They obviously wanted to, push it where Philly was going to continue winning over that anyway. So he asked me, and he was straight up. He said, like, if we trade you after World Cup, like, would you be mad about that? And I said no, because at that point in time, I wasn't happy with the direction the team was going. I'm not a person to really quit teams or anything. And in fact, like the year X Ball started, like I actually tried out for the Philly Americans, but they told me when I went down there, they're like, you can't tell your team. And that was the All Americans too, right? Like where it came from. And I was like, well, I'd like to tell them. They're like, no, you can't tell them. So, okay, I was just a little kid, whatever. Well, a little kid, I was 17, 18, whatever.
Okay.
I go down, I didn't tell. Well, they ended up finding out before I went down anyway. Now they're mad at me because they find out from the people that told me not to tell, And I'm like,
Right.
I wanted to tell, like,
Yeah.
and I didn't hold that against them, but I was like, I kind of held the situation against, the people on the or the Philly Americans at the time that the transition All Americans to Philly. It was like that tryout to see who was going to play on the X Ball team. I held it against the people that told me not to tell them, right? So I went down anyway. I tried out. I made the team, and I told them that I wouldn't play with them. And I remember at that Mardi Gras, the first event of that year, like people were like, they were doing well, and like they had better contracts than us at the time. And like Eric Dearman was like, "Oh, I bet you wish you would have like came to the team." I was like, "No, because I did not come because I didn't want to do that. I didn't come because I didn't like the situation, how it was presented. I didn't like leaving friends under that situation, So
Yep. That's
kind of
understandable.
weird relationship with the team in the beginning because like I started when I was like 15 on the All Americans too, which back then it was just pro, amateur A, and amateur B. And we were
Right.
like a top amateur A team. And people would always look at like us and All Americans like sister teams, but like really, like we probably had the bigger rivalry than anyone. Like I remember playing 10-man practices and like getting into fist fights, like 10-on-10 brawls. And I'm just a little
Yeah.
kid, like, oh man, I gotta square up with Special here and stuff. But like it teaches you to get, a little tougher. And back then, like there's no, a kid wasn't calling shotgun, and I was sleeping on the floor in between beds with like a little skirt cover from a bed, things like that. But like,
Yeah.
it just makes you tough. It makes you stick around, right? So
Yep.
it's like that kind of situation where I started traveling, where I started playing at a national level, to getting this offer, not really liking it, to the next year. We were then already taking over Miami Effect and stuff. And they're like, "Oh, you want to come to try out again?" I was like, "Well, I don't really think I need to try out again. Like, if you want me or not and stuff." Like, he's like, "Okay, well, we want you to play for us." And I was like, "Well," and then Daryl Trent at the time was like, "Well, you told us no last year, so I don't want you to be here this year." I was like, "Whatever." so then
Mhm.
a couple events later is the Chicago, and they were trying to trade for me. So that didn't last very long either, right? So I said, "Yeah, like at World Cup, like we can trade after the season's over. That's fine." And the reason you still had to trade back then after seasons were over were teams owned our rights, right?
Right.
Like they owned contract years for us. So it was more like the NFL, something like that.
It
When they
was
were still
different.
trying to get us on TV, we're on media blackouts and all that, but the teams did own our rights. So like you couldn't just quit a team and go play for another team. Like you had to
It
be
wasn't like
traded. You had
today.
to. It was not
Yep.
like today. It wasn't, and in some ways good and in some ways bad because like
Right.
I honestly don't think you should be able to get traded from a team where you're making money to a team where you're having to pay, or to an area that is nowhere near
Right.
you, or a situation that doesn't behoove you, because none of us make enough money to deal with that right now. Like it should be a personal decision now.
Mm-hmm.
But long story short, I told them, yeah, I'll go. Woke up the next day, like we had a meeting with Miami Effect at the field. I remember I was like laying out my stuff to dry because we didn't wash our clothes during tournaments back then because we were super dirty, like hockey players. So I had it in the sun trying to just make it all crunchy. So it just wasn't quite as gross to put on.
Right.
And I walked over and they're like, actually, we traded you last night. You're playing with Philly today. I was like, oh. that's weird. I walked over and like my jersey was gone. Like one of so Marky Ireland, who now plays on Damage, he
Hmm.
stole my jersey, and I didn't know who stole it until a couple years ago, but I found out he stole
What?
it. Yeah, which is a
Is he
cool
going to
story
give it
too.
back to you?
No, but I really like what he did with it. It's kind of got him back into paintball because he took a long hiatus, and
Right.
before he got back on Damage, someone offered him a lot of money for that jersey because they were like, "Hey, do you have any Miami Effect jerseys?" Like, well, only Ryan still, and they offered him a lot of money for it, and it got him enough money to like buy a Lux and to start playing pro again. So I said that I could nothing could mean more to me than that, you know, because he's a much different person now than he was then, and I'm just happy that
Right.
he's playing again and everything. So I think that's a cooler story for the jersey, and I still have one of them, you know. So, but either
Right.
way, so that was gone. I go to Philly, don't have a jersey, you know. Eric Dearman let me his jersey, which at the time meant a lot too for a player of that stature who had, his own cockiness and confidence about him to want me to wear his over, something else or like someone who
Yeah.
wasn't playing. Like it felt welcoming, and I grew that relationship and I played with that team until, Smart Parts went bankrupt during the banking crisis and at the end of 2009 when banks called in their loans and stuff, and till Philly Americans weren't a team. Like I wouldn't have left that team. Like, and people are like, "Oh, are you ever sad that you didn't, go play with them right away?" And I was like, "No, because I'm here now." And I was like, most of the people that did aren't like I said, like you have to be okay living in the skin of your own decisions and knowing that like good and bad decisions doesn't matter if they were good or bad because they allows you to be in the present moment where you get to make your present decision and you get to make the most out of that.
Wild story. That
Yeah, it's
was
weird being traded. It's weird being traded.
in the first happened in paintball
Yeah.
history.
Yeah, this is my 23rd year playing pro, and I've only ever quit one team, you know? And
Okay.
honestly, I love that team, you know? So I played with Miami Effect. I got traded to Philly. Philly went defunct. I went to Impact, played with them for 4 years, won the very first tournament I played. We won their first pro event ever.
Yep.
Uh, I was their first American player uh, that they ever picked up. They were all Canadian team then. I grew such great relationships with them, and I still consider them, from Zane to Zach to Joshua Met and Justin Cornell to be some of my best friends in paintball,
Yeah.
and Bart Yakimak. Like I still have a really close relationship and friendship with him, and like I probably wouldn't have ever left that team, in a way, because it's like I know I was an established pro at the time, but in a way, it's like they gave me a new family right after mine had fallen apart. And
Hmm.
I appreciate that. And I know I could have probably found that in different places, but the place I found it felt special and was special. And, going to Heat was a super hard decision for me, but, like, I kind of left the Heat as more of a package deal and to kind of reunite with some of the old Philly guys, from at that point in time. It was getting 4 or 5 of us back together and going together, and, I found a new family here. So in my career, like, I've been extremely lucky to have, been loyal with the exception of that one time, and to have found, lifelong friendships, relationships, and families along the way, and, teams that I feel that, represent me well and that I'm able to give the ability to, represent them on and off the field as well.
100%. So I waited to do that for you because I knew it was
I
going to be
don't
loud.
like that. Oh, that. Okay. Thought you just meant talking about me. I don't like that.
No, 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 no. It was the Topo Chico.
Oh, ain't no big deal.
Um,
I'm gonna pour myself a little more whiskey if you still got more questions.
I do. Go ahead, get you some of that barrel. Um, so you were talking about reuniting and getting a package deal. For everyone that doesn't know, Sam, Chad, and Ryan grew up playing together. And so I think this is a really cool part of Houston Heat is
Yeah.
they were part of. Now I'm not
And at the
100% sure.
time, Fedorov was still on the team. He was, with us in '08 and '09 on Philly.
But
Tim
on
Montressor
Philly,
was, yeah, yeah, on Philly.
And then
Tim
Tim.
Dresser played with me on Philly since, my time on Philly. Uh, One of my
So
best friends and traveled the world with him and did everything with him. So it's like, it was getting, a group of like five of us together with Jason coaching, who coached us on Philly. So it was
yeah.
like, it was a, you know, definitely led towards my decision to come here.
And so, oh my gosh, I didn't realize it was that deep. Um, so I
We
think
were,
that's
we're
really
really only
cool.
a Jason Edwards away from having everyone that still played from Philly there,
Right.
and we
Now that
only ran like an 8-person roster on Philly. So you're only talking about like two people that retired. My one buddy, Ross O'Rourke, who went into the special forces and still is there, still Green Beret as far as I know, still doing missions. Hard to get a hold of sometimes. to
I know.
Fatty, and who also super close friend, went into the military, did some special contracting, and is now just has two kids and a wife, and Pat Roberts. It's like that
Yeah,
was the team.
that was the team. That's wild. And I think this is a great story and testament of what I think it's a really deep part of Heat because Sam was part of Heat what before it had a name.
Yeah, like him and Yaya were
And yeah,
definitely big reasons why that pushed Sarge into doing it. Like obviously outside of like Sarge, being involved with paintball because of Ryan Smith and wanting to have the family thing to grow, but him having like distortion and then Canadian teams and just wanting to be involved, to Yaya saying like, hey, if you are willing to invest this much time, energy, and money into something, why not try to build something great?
right. And Sam was with the team. If you go back to the Instagram, you can catch Sam's interview and talk. You can hear about his little story, a
He's an
short
interesting
snippet.
character.
I
My
love
little buddy.
Sam.
He's an interesting character. I love him too.
Sam,
Doesn't
in
make him any less
Chicago.
interesting.
Sam, short story. Before we move on, Sam actually helped me stitch up my wound in Chicago 2 years ago. Y'all were having a team meeting. I had cut myself insanely good, and
She was
with
deep.
my
You had some of those fat pink,
yeah,
the thick pink stuff coming up to the top with the dark blood. Yeah, yeah, it
I
it
still
was a
got a
deep
good
one.
scar here. Um,
Scars are stories.
that's it. I love my scars. I don't need tattoos because my scars tell my life. Um, and I got a lot of them. But I like Sam was I was rooming with Sam. This was the first time with Heat I had a like a paid for bed, and I
Just paid for
Sam
beds feel a little different, huh?
they feel great. Sam they were having a team meeting and they were all getting ready and it was right down the hall. I'd cut myself with my karambit because I was being a goober,
Because you were
spinning it.
playing with it. I know.
Oh hell yeah! Obviously that's what you do with the karambit. But I
You went
spun it
backwards
the
on it,
wrong
didn't
way.
you? Yeah.
I went counterclock and I went whoop, and it just whipped up me and it
You
opened
got it
me
on
up
the
and there
talon
was
claw side instead of the swoop side.
it's right back here. This
No, you don't need
karambit's
to be
right back
pulling
there.
it
No,
out
no,
now.
I'm not pulling it out, but I'm just saying I keep it here. I
No, of
keep it
course.
close because
I keep that
it's
thing
near
on
and dear.
me.
Yeah, she's thirsty. Anyways, but I was bleeding all over the hotel room, and I'm like holding my arm. I get it held
Sam
down
probably
pretty
just
good,
meant
and I'm
roll
like,
his.
well, y'all's door, y'all prop it open, and I'm like, Sam, can you come help me? And Sam, I was like, I'm going to the room. Sam comes in there, and there's blood all over the floor. Sam comes in, stitch me up. Sam holds a soft
Did he?
spot in my.
Did he
What's
actually
that?
stitch you?
Sadly, not.
No, I
I
was
didn't
gonna
have
say.
no. But stitch me up in
Yeah, yeah,
terms.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um,
I'm more
we
of a super glue guy. I fixed a lot of way too deep wounds with super glue before.
I probably actually truly because I know how to suture. I probably need to actually truly carry in my IFAC a suture kit. Because it just I always worry about y'all. I worry about y'all on the field with those stakes, and I know you're like, nah, but I
I'll
personally,
just squirt some alcohol in that and super glue. It'd be good.
I mean, I carry tourniquets. I carry like Cat 3, Cat
I
4
know what you
turns,
do. I know
and
what you do.
and I know you do. But anyway,
Want to
Sam
keep
holds
talking
a
about what you carry? We'll have to start talking about why and what your back.
No, not allowed. Anyways, you can ask me in person, but it does not belong here. But so Sam holds a soft spot in my heart, and that I was so excited the one time I got to be his roommate. I really grew close to Sam, and it's that privilege that you get when you room with someone. It really is an honor because you grow with those people and you get to flourish with them and really learn about them. When you're spending the night in the same room as someone, you really do get to grow with them.
Yeah,
It's
hearing their snores, smelling their farts, dealing with like what the grossness of people, but you deal with the real side of them.
yeah, but if they're good people, you'd love
Right.
them for it. You'd
That's what
love
I'm
them
saying.
for it
That's what I'm saying.
endlessly.
I'm saying when you're rooming with someone, there's no hiding.
No, yeah, you're you. And Sam got to experience the real me being a goofball, just slice and dice, baby. Um, but anyways, side quest over. Now, so let's go back. So you went from Miami to Philly. Philly is now the All Americans. They play 10 man, and you still play with Adam and all those guys, right?
Yeah, yeah, sometimes when I can.
Yeah, when you can. And I think that's 10 man. I'm excited. I think what have we got in the works for us this year?
Yeah, yeah, we're gonna at least try to play one full 10-man event as like a full heat squad, and I think it's important because I think you learn a lot of things and
It's a
kind of
lot. Go ahead.
truncates some learning process time. You know what I mean? I think
Yeah,
there's a lot of good with it.
100%. And it's just a great growing experience. You learn when you have the whole team on the field. You learn
Yep.
the team. You learn the individual. You learn the team. And that's a
Have a
really
couple
exciting
road,
thing.
have a couple brewskis, have a good time, have fun, but play as an entire team, learn
In
different ways to
time.
close things because it's much different whether you're playing on like an airball field, a hyperball field, a
Yeah.
woods, or my personal favorite mounds fields. They
Mounts.
all
Yeah.
they all take something a little different to
Yeah.
succeed in at least.
And it's 100% cooperation across the board. And so I think I might hopefully get to star in this. I'm excited. I haven't gotten to play with y'all.
I said we'll get you on the field, whether you star or not. Decides on you.
Oh, I'm a shine, baby. Send me in like a bulldozer, baby. I'm gonna work them up. No, but no, and I think that's really something exciting, and I think that just grows the cohesiveness of a team being all on the field together, having everyone's voice, everyone's communication. It's a great opportunity. So I'm really excited for that. I should be ready to go after surgery.
Yep.
So and so, even if I was there to watch, I'd be drinking beer, getting
No,
rowdy for
of
you.
course you would. Oh, I like that.
But
Rowdy boy.
rowdy by the rowdy ones. It's what we are, though.
I know.
It's outside of life, loving and being rowdy, and that's what life's about,
Yeah,
and that's
rowdy's
why.
not necessarily bad. It's just fun.
No, and it's in being rowdy is someone who truly enjoys life,
Yeah,
and it's not being bad. Being
can be.
rowdy is just,
It can be.
but be, being rowdy is someone who is excited for life.
Yeah,
When someone's rowdy, they are just amped up, good to go. They're giving life 120%, and
yep.
that's what rowdy is. Whether that leads into bad decisions or not, that's on the per individual. I will disclaimer that. But you know, so we went from Miami to Philly to, and then you did some time with Impact
To
and a few other
Impact for
teams.
4 years. No, just Impact and Heat. Those are my four
Impact,
main
then
things.
Heat,
Yeah,
and
obviously I've played for other teams in Europe and guested on teams and done one-off things. But as far as like what I
right.
consider, the major American leagues, which would you consider your main team always? Like that's my lineage. Miami Effect, Philly Americans, Edmonton Impact, and Houston Heat.
And then so let's continue on the journey of giving you your flowers. So,
Now we do gotta shut down per se.
mhm. What happened to, "Oh, there's no time limit. We're gonna
Oh,
flow through
well, we
these."
didn't know we were talking about me.
I think you're a very important part, and you are an inspiration for me, and I think you need your flowers, and I think it's great for people to hear because people wanna know the insights of people that they love. So, you're gonna accept your flowers just like you made me accept mine. Um, so we had Sam Monville on Heat, right? So he
Mhm.
brought in, who'd he bring in next? Was it Tim or Chad?
No,
Do
no,
you
no, no.
know?
So,
Or sorry.
uh, Tim didn't come till Heat until I did. So that was part of like
Okay.
that was the package deal. It was me, Tim, and Greg all went together there in 2014 from Edmonton Impact. But from the onset of the team, like when Yaya and Sam and Sarge and Ryan, like they put together that team with, Ronnie, LJ, uh, Fedorov, Mishka, Sergey, uh, yeah, Sam, Chad. Feel like I'm forgetting Ryan, Nick
So Chad
Sloviak.
was okay. Go ahead.
Yeah, so Chad was playing with me on Impact, but the PSP at the time, Dave Youngblood and the PSP decided
Mhm,
that because Bart was the major owner of the MPPL, the seven-man league
mhm.
at the time, that
Yep.
was the only year that 2012 was the only year I didn't play in the PSP NXL, that professional X Ball league, because they disallowed our entire team on Impact from playing.
Really?
So, yeah. So, Chad had went out to one of their practices just to be an extra guy, and they really obviously wanted him to be involved. We worked it out, and Adam was gracious enough at the time to allow him to play on Heat with
Mm,
Gio at the time because Impact was his main team, right?
okay.
Uh, and that hasn't been reciprocated from other companies since then. So that's why you probably never see teams do that. Where I think it's
Mm,
like paintball. It's like once in a while you got to make exceptions for people to make sure that the best can
yeah.
happen for them. But I don't own
Yeah.
a company, so I can't do that. But I know at the time Adam was willing to do that, and that's why Chad played on Heat with Impact Geo, which is kind of amusing. But yeah, we
Yeah.
just weren't allowed to play in the league at that time, so that gave them the opportunity to get Chad. Because if not that, Chad would have been playing with us in the Expo League,
Right.
because he was on our team. But then, they had at the time one of the best Expo years that I ever had. They won 3 of their first 5 tournaments.
Mhm.
So he made the decision to stay there after that year full time and left Impact. So then it was like I said, Nick Sloviak, uh, Chad Yaya Boucher, Titties, the main man, my big squeeze, my good guy, miss him on
Love
my
him.
team.
Love him.
He's great people, Leopard King, however you
It
want to,
was
fastest man in paintball, however you want to talk about him. Man has a lot of credentials, but
he's
he's
a
good people. He's a team builder. He's a guy's guy. He looks out for his friends and wants to put you in the best position. He was
and
like that his whole life. Like he's a born salesman, a born agent.
but
He's made
he's
for that.
just he is a person that truly wants you to flourish in life.
Mhm.
If it wasn't for Yaya, let's be honest, I wouldn't be here because Yaya was my stepping stone into here, and he wanted to see me excel. He came up and gave me at the. I want to give that man his flowers. He's a very selfless person. He is a caring,
I don't know if
loving.
I'd say he's selfless
I
externally, but
he was.
internally he's selfless. Does that make sense?
It does.
Because you look at him, he's a peacock too,
He is, but
but
that's
he's a
why you
selfless
love him.
peacock.
That's why
Yep,
you love him.
yep.
But internally, I mean, he came up to me. He was around. It was great to see him. Oh, it was so good to see him in Tampa, and he was around, and he gave me the biggest hug and said, "Bro, I'm proud of you and what you're doing right now." As far as like he told me, and it meant the world to
And he's a
me to
social
hear
media
from
guy,
him.
and I know he's not just talking about that, but I'm saying like that for
Yeah,
sure is a big part of that.
but he was like, "I'm proud of you, what you're doing for the social media."
Yeah.
And like give the man his flowers, right? Like he
We're
is.
gonna run out of flowers.
No man, I got a florist right down the road. They're my good friends, Carl and Becky. They hug it up. I got flowers all day for the people that deserve them. But yeah, yeah, yeah. No, uh, great. He's fantastic, and I miss him daily. You know, I miss that big bulldozing bowling ball just tearing it up, but he's on to better things and he's on to his next chapter, and so it's exciting to see. But anyways, back to the Heat thing. So we had you
So I didn't
come
come
in
until
with
yeah, they started in 2012. I didn't come in until 2014. So
right,
a couple
and then
years.
you came with Tim
Yeah,
and
and Greg Sewers.
yes, so Greg, and then God bless Tim Montresor. Sadly, I didn't get to know the man. I genuinely,
You
I
would have
hear
liked him.
y'all.
He was one that like appreciated time with his friends and the boys and would do anything for the people he cared about and could care less about anyone else more than anyone you ever know. Like like he was definitely my best friend, but like man, there was no one I wanted to punch more in the nose than him on some days, because he knew how to hit my buttons, and that's a good thing though. Like,
That's a
man,
good friend, though.
you spend enough time with someone. I knew how to hit his. It's you spend enough time with someone, like sometimes you got to get entertainment out of pissing them off. You just have to. you know,
You
it's
do.
it's what I appreciate. You can't things aren't always good because you have to bother each other sometimes because you literally it's like we lived together, we traveled together, we vacationed together, like we
Yeah.
did everything together. It's like you know those people more than sometimes you know yourself.
But those are people that become brothers. They're not friends.
Yeah.
They're not friends anymore. They are family. They are blood. They are brothers. You have you have went through the journey of life with those people. Um, I know it when he passed away. It
We didn't look like brothers that much, but we were.
you don't have to look like them. Being a brother is part of the
Sorry, that was just
brotherhood.
a racist joke.
All right.
Just in good
Anyways,
fun though.
good fun. I know, but you know, brotherhood. When you get into that brotherhood with a group of people, individual, it's like you and I. We have a brotherhood. I have a brotherhood with Heat. We have our own brotherhood, you and I. I talk to you more than anybody else, than probably in Heat. There's no probably. That's a fact. I bugged this shit out of you. That's okay. You accept me for me. But
Yeah.
that's the brotherhood, and that's what I think the journey of life is so important, is when you get to find those people and you get to carry on, whether they're here or not on this earth anymore. You carry on and you carry them
Mhm.
with you, and you hoist your flag and fly your colors.
Yep.
Um, so I know everybody, Chad, I didn't know this. Chad has a necklace. Chad has
No,
a
yeah.
necklace with some, correct me if I'm wrong, some ashes of
Yeah.
Tim Montresor.
Yep.
What? Go ahead.
He got cremated after he passed, and his family and his girlfriend got the necklaces made for most of his closest friends, and played with them for a while. I quit playing with mine. I play with it occasionally, but Tim like gets second place too much, so I just figured it was like if it was off, I had a better chance of winning. But like I hold him near and dear to my heart still.
That's right. But I think carrying the flag for those people, that brotherhood, that
Oh,
is
it's
the
always
most
still in my bag. Sometimes it's just can't be
100%.
on the
It's
field
with
with.
you. It's with
Kinda
you. But
creepy
that's
too,
also,
like, 'cause death is morbid no matter how you look at it, so it's like, I like it, but then I don't, like, I battle with that myself.
well, I think,
I like
and
the
I think,
idea of having a token or having something with you from your friend, but, like, I guess the way I look at death, like, when I die, like, I don't care what you do with my body, you could throw me in a river, you could throw me in a trash can, like, I just don't care because I feel like I'm gone. Like,
yeah,
what you could do for me that makes me happy is, like me or hate me for whatever you did while I was alive and appreciate those times and
yeah,
let it go at that. Like, no, don't be sad because don't be sad for me,
don't be
right?
sad.
Because it's like once the
100%.
person's dead, they're dead. They've moved on. Like they have no say in the matter. They're not sad anymore. So it's like
No,
you can be sad because you miss someone, but you shouldn't ever be sad for them. You just got to be sad for the relationships that you miss.
you're sad for yourself, but you're happy for carrying on their journey,
Yeah,
right? And
yeah,
that's the beautiful thing about life and death. That's a guarantee in life, right? We're not going to get out alive.
no,
We ain't leaving this place alive. So I think that's the great thing is
Sometimes
that
you need to
y'all
feel like
have.
you're going to, though, right?
Oh yeah,
I
feel
feel like people that
invincible,
I feel like people that do great things have to feel slightly invincible.
invincible. Yeah, but that's what makes you great. Is that you understand the realm, but you still have the courage to push on past that. But so with that being said, I know Tim Montresor is a huge part of many of y'all with Houston Heat, and I think a lot of y'all go out there on the field for him, right? And you carry him. You carry his flag with you. You hoist the colors and you go give it everything.
Yeah, I
And
don't like
it's
wearing
part of
other
the.
people's jerseys. I pretty much like,
I'm
I
not
like when I no, I'm saying when I'm on the field, I like to represent myself, just how I've always been. But like I still at 10-man events, I still wear his jersey sometimes because it does
100%.
feel good.
You hoist his colors.
Yep.
You hoist the colors, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's a great thing. I know he was a huge impact for not just Heat, but a lot of players outside of Heat. He
100%.
was just an inspiration and a joy of life. And sadly, I didn't get to know the man,
You would have liked
but
him.
I know, I
You
know,
would have liked him.
I
It's
know. But I think he's a very crucial part of Heat, even though he's not with us. I think he's a very crucial part of Heat, and I think that's a
well,
beautiful thing. But
you have
go
some of
ahead.
his best friends on the team. So of course he's a crucial part of it because it's like
Yeah,
we grew up and like became the men we are because of our relationships with each other.
yeah, yeah,
So none
and
of us would be who we are without any of the other people missing, good or bad.
100%. So let's continue on. Now that you've been with Heat since 2014, there's no other teams, correct? It's been Heat, obviously
Like I said, guesting, things like
guesting,
that,
yeah,
random
Tin
event. Yeah,
Man,
of course.
things like that. Yeah, but I mean, Heat is your NXL
Yeah.
family. It's your
Yep.
team. Um, I do, I do want to kind of talk about. Your family obviously was a
Mhm.
major upbringing for you and who you
Mhm.
are to this day, and I think that's very important. Of dating back to that stuff, your parents
Mhm.
obviously supported you through and through.
Mhm.
They brought they spent countless amounts of money, right? And I think it's important to kind of chime in on childhood and upbringing
Mhm.
and grow because I mean, you got to think where we where we are at today is because of how we were brought up.
For sure.
Um, I haven't
But you
gotten
can
to
still
meet.
get two polar opposites in the same family, and that's weird.
It is. I'm a prime example of that.
Yeah.
I'm totally opposite from my sister.
Mhm.
Um, but I think it's important. Your family, obviously, your mom and dad have just, I mean, no telling how many thousands of dollars they sacrificed, right? And
They definitely spent money to help me do it and stuff. But like, I was lucky to say lucky, but I was put in situations and performed in those situations where like I didn't play too long before I
got
was in a
picked
good
up.
situation. Yeah.
Well, that's
But
great.
what my parents were overly supportive of any decision that I've ever done, you know what I mean? No matter what,
Hmm.
like, if I cared about something, they weren't like, "Oh, you should do this instead," or, "You should do this." They should be like they were always behind me in whatever way I needed it, whether it was financially, emotionally, stability, like, they were there for to say, like, "Hey, no, go chase your dreams. Put
Hmm.
everything that you have into that, and never to put like doubt in my mind about that." And you need that, you need that. You need people to believe in you in whatever
Hmm.
you believe in because they know you as a person. And that's what they did for me more than anything is just always had unwavering, undying belief that I would make the right decision and do what I needed to do that would make me happy. Because it's not always what's going to make lead you to the most financial success or the most this, but they knew they were like, if this is what makes you happy and this is what you feel like you were meant to do and to be, then go do it. Go be the best version of yourself. And in any way that you're needed, like we'll be there to support you in it.
And that's That's and in my opinion, that is a crucial part in being successful adults to where we are to this day.
And, like, I was for sure probably a headache for them. That 'cause I was always a stubborn kid. Like, I was responsibly irresponsible, I'd like to say, like, I knew how
Yeah.
to not get in trouble, but to flirt the line of trouble, but to always be responsible enough to, like, be aware of my situations and not do anything that would that would hinder me later in life and things like that. But they knew that, like, from a young kid, I was stubborn, I was bullheaded, I was argumentative, and I was,
Yeah.
sure of myself. So when they saw me, I think, have that much desire all in one area,
Yeah.
then of course they were gonna be behind that because they knew like I wasn't making a brash decision. They knew that that's like, no, this is what he like from a when I was 12, they're like, obviously he cares about this. And then they just
Yeah.
saw that grow and grow and grow. And my opportunities continue to present themselves and also grow. And they were always there to, like I said, do whatever they can. And they're still like they really are saints, they're just
Yeah.
really good people that are, always happy, always, loving and caring and always we're there for anyone, and
Yeah.
that's what's important. It's not always about, for me, I've always taken paintball kind of like a job. So like
Yeah.
growing up, especially there was times I was like, don't come to this. Like I don't want any distractions. I want like I'm just focusing on this
It's-
like it's my job.
Yeah.
And just because they weren't there doesn't mean that they didn't always want to be there. Sometimes it was like, sometimes it was financial, sometimes it was me telling them
Oh,
not to and stuff, but like
right.
regardless, they always supported me. And to have someone in your corner that believes in you more than you believe in yourself sometimes is important.
100%. My family's the same way. I'm still hard on
Yeah, of course. Because
them.
because
I am.
like I said, you can be hard on the people that you care about the most because you can be
Yeah.
open with the people you care about the most, which is why on a good paintball team, like if I have to shit on you, that's fine because it's coming from a place of love. And
Yep.
in a family, it's the same way. Like you're going to
Yeah.
be harder on sometimes people in your own family over a small nuance of something because
Hmm.
because you're being honest with them. You're saying this is bothering me. Like
Yeah.
so you're being hard on them. But with someone that you're just like an acquaintance with or you don't care about as much, you'll let that slide because you don't want the hassle of dealing with the repercussions of bringing it up. It's like,
Yeah.
I'm just going to push that aside so that it's over with. But in a family, and like the same thing with Tim and me, like we got in arguments a lot because like we cared so much and we never hid things from each other. So like we obviously were going to rub each other the wrong way. And that's
Yeah.
what a close relationship is. It's sometimes can be outwardly abrasive, but as long as it's for good reasons, it builds it stronger.
Yeah. For sure. So we've kind of gotten touch base on your upbringing, going into Heat, your background before Heat being the first person to person for person trade in paintball history.
That trade was actually pretty big too, because it was like me and Aaron Tholey from Miami Effect for like 5 or 6 guys plus rights because it was like Caleb
That's wild.
Adcock, JT Bouchard, Jason Green, the rights to Frank Connell, the rights to BJ. They used to play on Strange
Yep.
and Tim Jenkins. So it was like a 2 for 6 person trade.
That's huge. That's
It
big.
was a lot. That's a pretty big swing in like dynamics
It
of
is.
cultures and teams.
Yeah, no, that's huge. That was back in the PSP days, correct? Not
No, that was NXL.
was it?
It was
Oh
pre it
gosh.
was pre and post PSP.
Okay.
Names have been
Weird.
incestuous for a long time. So it was like, it was the MPPL, there was a PSP after that, then it was both, then it was PSP with the MPPL, then it was the NXL.
So what?
Then it was the
um,
original NXL though. So like the
forgive.
2000
Okay, go ahead. 2000
it
what?
it was the original NXL. The blackout period was from 2003 to 2005. That's when the NXL first came about.
Okay. Yeah, forgive me for my ignorance.
That's not ignorance, it's confusing, things things change, they stay the same, names get reused.
Yeah. So we touch base on all that. Now let's touch base on your where you're at to this day. How did you get? For everyone that doesn't know, Ryan is very involved at DLX Technologies. Um, he's had a huge part in the new idol and all the features and all the upgrades, and I think um, from being around the team and obviously and all that, the upgrades are massive that came from the TM40, which
Yeah,
was
some of my
the
favorite compliments aren't from they're from when like people go from shooting like a different gun for a long time and then pick one up with like no past preconceived notions or anything and then go, man,
Mhm.
like I can't believe how quick I got used to this. Like I really enjoy this. I didn't know how much I'd like this. And like hearing that from people, like when they're telling you the truth because they just don't have to tell you when they're your teammates and stuff.
Yeah,
Like those are the compliments I really appreciate.
for sure. So how did you get the opportunity to come into DLX?
It's kind of funny because working at Smart Parts was my first job. Like I
Okay.
grew up like 15 minutes from the factory. I was an annoying kid that used to show up and just like hang out and talk paintball and look at magazines there. But like as soon as I was old enough to get a job, like I worked there. Like I worked in the assembly department when like the original Impulse first came out, like when I was like 14, maybe 15 for a little bit. And then I was a tech and then I like managed the technical department when we had like probably 10, 12 technicians working at the time. And the company was huge during the Ion days. And then when that went away, when Smart Parts went bankrupt, I went back to school and I finished my degrees. I have my major is in marketing and I have a minor in management, but like I did that just because like I had time to do it when happened. But like I still always focused on paintball and knowing that like it was nice to have things to fall back on and you know create opportunities and networking that I could do things when I was done, but like I wanted to put the majority of my effort into, being a great paintball player. And like, I'd like to think that I could never achieve that because I can always work towards that. But like I put effort into that being my life. Playing on some of the teams I played for allowed me to solely focus on that. And that was great. There's years where I probably played, between playing a couple of professional American leagues, professional European league, playing in Asia, South America, doing clinics all over the world. Like there was times where that's all I did. I mean, there was a year I think I played probably 36 tournaments in 1 year, So it's like I devoted the majority of my time to paintball while still making sure that I had things to fall back on.
Yeah.
Uh, I don't know. What was your question?
No. How did you get involved
Oh, okay.
with
So then,
DLX?
yeah. So
Yeah.
then, after a while, Tim went back and started working when they, DLX always was still around, and when they were rebuilding the company and refocusing it and reorganizing it, Tim. Uh, it's a smaller company than it used to be in the Smart Parts days, so like there doesn't have to be titles. But at the time, I would have considered Tim like vice president of like paintball operations at least, behind
Okay.
Adam and the lineage. And I wasn't working there still at the time, but Tim was always trying to get me to come back and do things for them. But at the time, I was living probably like an hour and a half away in Pittsburgh and doing other things with my time. And I would go in and like help if they had a project or because they did trust my input and stuff. So I'd go in like days that I could and help on a project. But post COVID and post Tim's death, like and post having a baby and moving back closer to be with family and stuff, like I was in a closer area to do it. So I can go in there on a more full time schedule and work in the research and development, quality control, product testing, and just
Mhm.
be and kind of they allow me the opportunity to kind of dictate what my day looks like
Yeah.
and where I expend energy on. So I get to, do a lot of projects that I really have passion for.
Hmm.
And you know, can always look at things two ways, like monetarily or beneficially. Like, like,
Right.
yeah, I know that I could, even with this time, I could be making more money other ways, but like I appreciate the flexibility of schedule because I'm still away for a lot in paintball, but
Hmm.
also the ability to, really put my fingerprints on a lot of the new projects. And the Idol was probably the first one that was like I had as much say in, but like I'm really excited about, things we're working on to this day. It's like as soon as you come out with one thing, you're always working on the next. So it's like we have a
Yeah.
lot of good things in the works that I'm not going to talk about, but
No.
really excited about, the people we're working with and the
Yeah.
things we're doing right now and the future of the company.
So give me what you do today, like what you do for them as your job.
Like I said, like a lot of it's research development and things like that. So it's a lot of things
Yeah.
I'm not gonna talk about right now because like if I told you what I did about today, you would know too much.
You're being unfair. Okay. So,
My day varies extremely. Like I feel like I'm like a multi tool, not great at anything, but really good at a lot of things. So if you only have one tool, I could be that. That's as much as you're getting out of it right now.
okay. So how long have you been with DLX? Um, what was your favorite part? What has been your favorite part of the journey so far? Because I feel like that's important.
I feel like outside of playing paintball, like it's kind of been my only job. Whether it was smart parts or DLX or under different iterations or there was gaps or not, like kind of done this since I was a kid.
Yeah.
So it's like in one way or another, paintball's always been my life. So I don't know. And I know that doesn't necessarily answer what you're saying, but it's just like it's not like, oh, 6 years, because
Right.
I don't look at it like it like I know there's been gaps, but like I've always kind of done this.
Okay. So, hmm, you're being hard on me.
Yeah,
Um,
you're not getting much out of this.
no, that's fine. That's fine. Who brought you into DLX then? Who was that?
Ain't me.
You did.
Well,
Okay.
yeah, because like I said, like I worked for the company when I was 14 years old or just
Right.
turned 15,
Yeah, yeah.
and I built those relationships and, you know, I've always shared my ideas and always been pretty outspoken about what I believe in and coming up with different things that like I worked through growing in that company and I've always been around to lend hands during the regrowth and stuff. So it's like I went back because of like people like Adam and Tim and Russell and Hans and a plethora of people, but like
Yeah.
it's just that I wanted to make paintball my life since I was a little kid and was involved in that company and was always useful that it allowed the opportunities now.
Okay. So, man, you really stumped me.
I'm good at
I,
that.
I
My parents actually always said I should have been a trial lawyer, but
you've been great.
my mom was
You've been
always
great.
like I knew I'd be right about something. I'd say it to you, and she'd be like, "You just convinced me that I was wrong."
Um, so how long has DLX been around then? Since you've been around,
So the DLX has been around since the original Lux came out, which was Huntington Beach 2008. And
really?
I've shot that gun since then, with the exception of 2010 through 13 when I played for Impact.
No way.
Yeah,
That's really
I had the very first Lux ever made. Didn't keep it,
whoa.
unfortunately. But I
Oh,
had the first Lux ever made. I have the first Idol. Like like those guns are me. Like I've had so much say in them from the beginning that
that's cool. I didn't know that.
yeah.
Um, do you see? I'm trying to beat around the bush so you don't have to give too much now, but I can
Yeah.
get answers. do you do you see yourself in a place where you want to stay there? Like obviously you do. Because I guess my question is, who are the guys that actually own DLX? I think we should give them a shout out because those
Adam and
guys
Billy
are
Gardner. So that's
Al are they,
a,
and they're
a,
brothers, obviously.
Adam and Billy Gardner. Yeah, they're brothers. They're well known in paintball from their professional careers to their business
Right.
careers. Have a history that is loved by some, hated by most others, and a lot of that has been. I don't want to get into it, but
No, that's fine.
there's been a lot of litigious problems between companies
Mm,
and IP
okay.
rights, and sometimes people get mad because people protected their own patents, which is crazy because that's pretty normal to do.
Yeah.
But either way, it's like most of the people now don't remember the past, but like the past is like they've done so much for paintball, but are hated because some other people's small companies and stuff didn't
Well,
survive because they didn't either want to.
that's business though.
It is
That
business.
that is on
And
that
I
is
and that
on Go ahead.
I've done nothing ever but stick up for them because I know them as people and I know how good they truly are as people, and
I,
how much I enjoy hanging out with them and having conversations with them, that I have a
yeah.
hard time with seeing a lot of the hate that they get because I know how undeserved it is. It's like, yeah, they're just people that are true paintball patrons, just like most of the people that are listening or want to be like all love paintball, but they're also businessmen. And if you
Well,
want to be successful in business, you have to protect your own IDs or your own, you know, the things you own and your
those
own
are things
IP.
that they've worked for, they
Yeah.
created, they put their life into, and they're at where they're at because of their innovation.
Yeah.
Now, and if you have personal beef with that, that's on you. Um, Personally, like you don't invent something and then just give it out to the world. You invented it, you put your blood, sweat, and tears into it, and that is
They have
yours.
done that a lot of times. Like even like the adjustable feed necks that every single gun uses right now.
That was them.
Yeah, like we invented those probably back in 2003. The Q-Lock was the
Okay.
first one that was adjustable. Our one engineer designed it off of, the mechanisms that like bike seats use to raise and lower.
Yeah,
But it was
yeah,
the first
yeah.
time it was done in paintball and stuff. And like
Wow.
that could have been easily patented for paintball, but we're like, no, that's something that everyone should have and stuff. It's like that's happened 1,000 times for the few times that they've protected their IP, but that's not forgot about. But every time I look at a gun and people are like, oh, you guys copied this or you copied that, it's like, no, things get copied off each other to help grow each other because like you see something and you get it and then you try to make it better and then you come up with your own
Yeah.
idea, and that's the way things work within protected IP. But there's also times where it's like shared. It's like when they're like, oh, like for sure, like from the TM4 from the X to the Idol, like is based off of a Gamma Core style design that Planet Eclipse first came up with, but it was like they came up with it through outside engineers too. Didn't didn't patent it. When you don't patent something, you're allowing the rest of the industry to use it, to make it better, to grow it. If you want to protect it, you patent it, you
Yeah.
stop it. It's like, but that's kind
And
of a tangent. But the long story short is it's like when I look at things, it's like, inserted barrel systems. That was a smart parts thing. The electronic pneumatic gun, that was a smart parts thing. Like the
and
Q lock, that was a smart parts thing. Adjustable. There's so
wow.
much that I could say that they were true innovators in, that you could
Yeah.
nitpick over some of the ways they went about things. But like,
Mhm.
and not only did they love paintball, but they put like drastic marks on the future and the shaping and the direction paintball went, from coming up with the Ion was the first like cheap electric gun that could like compete in tournaments.
Yeah.
A sub $300 gun that we sold tons of, which really probably led to the bankruptcy because of the amount of numbers that we had to put out versus banks calling in their loans.
Profit.
When banks, well, no, it's just after the collapse of the economy in 2008, like regardless if you were paying back loans or not, banks were calling them in because they were getting government payback from protection
Yep.
instead. So
Mhm.
it's like some of those things, that protections they did for the banks, like made sense because you're trying to protect individual customers, but in the long run, it hurt a lot of small businesses and a lot of American made businesses because they were incentivizing closing out on these loans and losing that money to get government subsidies versus allowing them to
Gotcha.
pay it back. They should have at least allowed people to default on loans before that happened, right? Like if you were still
Right.
paying on them, they did. But at that time, there was a lot of like, unique one-off kind of situational laws
Yeah.
that were happening.
Yeah. That was definitely an interesting time. Um, that's crazy. I didn't realize how in depth, DLX is dug into paintball history.
Yeah, I
That's
mean, like they made the
absolutely
first, like,
incredible.
the first spiral ported barrels, the first, like I said, freak inserts, the first electronic guns. It was like
Yeah.
everything.
And that's incredible. So I've gotten to meet Adam. I met him.
He's a Weasley little guy.
I loved him. He
I
was
love him
so
too,
nice. He was
but he's a
just
Weasley little guy.
yeah, but he was just so genuine to me.
Yes.
Like he was just, and this is always and you saw
No,
it
I
at the
love him, and
summit.
like because I have like a true relationship with him, so it's just like
Yeah. And you know him deeper than probably most, right? Because you've been so embedded. And I think that's the beautiful thing about having people around is you get to embed with their life and be cohesive with them and you get to see the side that people think that they aren't. And I think that's a great place to be because you get to shed light on things. And when I met Adam, he was just so nice, so genuine. The most awkward thing for me is like I'm just when I walk around with y'all, I'm just some fucking dude, and everyone's like, "Who's this guy?" And I
it is
think
weird
it's
you say that because it's like sometimes new guys on the team say the same thing. But that's like that in any situation, right? You go out in a
it
social
is
situation and 8 people know each other and you're the only one that doesn't. It's not just because you're just some guy. It's just because you don't know these conversations that are happening. You don't do that. And that's just time. That's just time and
it is
opportunities, right? Like
yeah
it's weird sometimes at first because you're like, oh, I don't fit in the bit. It's like you fit into any conversation that you can make better.
yeah for sure 100%. But it's like why I left the summit early with Bird. You know,
I know you
that's
told me that was awkward, and I feel bad about that.
Well,
But
it
like,
wasn't
but
it
it
wasn't
is
awkward. It wasn't that it was awkward. It was I wanted the team to have y'all's night and y'all be out as a team. Not every conversation be like, "Hey, this is how." And I know y'all enjoy introducing me to people
it's not
because
about enjoying. It's just like that's just such a quick psyop. So it's not like, oh, who's this person sending here? It's like quick introduction. Now you know. Now the conversation can happen. Like that's
for
just.
sure. But the Summit Award happens once a year now, and I wanted the team to have their night. But
But this
it's
wasn't our
one of
night. Like
those.
we were like
It's
obviously
y'all's
like
night.
all we're gonna enjoy things while we're there talking to people that we enjoy talking to. But like
Yeah,
if we wanted to really have like a team night or do something, we wouldn't have been around any paintball people.
for sure. And that's just me being in my own head, right?
I know. That's what
That's
I'm
part
trying
of
to
it.
explain to you.
Yeah, I, I know, Ryan. I know. I'm my own worst enemy, and I'm okay with that. If I'm my own worst enemy, I'm pretty good.
Yeah.
But so question. I guess because of I guess not ignorance, but lack of knowledge. So were Adam and Billy Gardner part of Smart Parts and Ion then? Were they
Yeah, they
in
like Billy first made like the first like spiral ported barrel in his garage machine shop to make like smart parts. And Adam has more
okay?
of like a business background, and Billy was more of like an engineering machining background. And
Okay.
then like there since the inception, from like the PVI shocker to the 4x4 shockers to the impulse to the SFT shockers to the ions to all that, like yeah, they started the All Americans, they started Smart Parts
Hmm. Okay.
and
Cool.
Scout air guns now, like so like we have
Yeah.
also have a really high end air rifle company, scoutairguns.com. If anyone's interested in that side of the world, you should check it out. We have competition bench rest guns, and we're working into other avenues as well, and there's a lot of cool things on that side of things as well.
And I remember you starting to talk to me when you were talking to me about it. That is such a blowing up market right now. There's people that actually they make air rifles now that you can hunt big game with,
Yeah,
and
like
it
ours,
it
like
is. Go ahead.
even ours, like ours, we have them available in everything from 177 to 35 caliber, and some of those you can get shooting at some ridiculous foot pounds. Like
Yeah.
you have no problem hunting big game with some of them.
Well, and it's not that it's just hunting, right? There's a difference between and hunting. There are 35 caliber for anyone that is chiming in. That's bigger than a
It's like a
Ronnie's calling
357,
me.
like a Dirty Harry gun, you know?
Yeah, sorry, Ronnie was calling
No,
me.
you're good.
You know, a 35 caliber, that's huge. That is technically bigger than the 300 Win Mag
Mhm.
if you break it down. Now, 300 Win Mag is what I hunt
It's bigger
elk
than
with.
a 308. It's 300 Win Mag. It's bigger than a 30-06. It's
Yeah, no, it's massive for people that don't understand the
yeah.
gun side of world to paintball or airsoft. That's crazy that
It'd
they
be a
built them
small
up. And
paintball.
yeah,
Bigger. Yeah, I mean, some of those were running like multiple regs, so we're still running them off of compressed air systems that are inputting at 4,500, but like some of their actual like plenum pressures
yeah,
are 2,000 plus to get these 140 grain projectiles out at close to 1,000 feet per second.
which is wild. That is
Mhm.
moving. And I think that's really cool. Y'all have branched out into that realm. I think it's really
Mhm.
cool, and it's a growing market.
And like we started in like the super high end bench rest side of things and do
Yeah.
it like that gun and other accessories. Like our current model uses the same like similar style board frame as like our
Hmm.
idol does. So it's like programmable talking, electronic, things like that. But yeah, there's a that market's the entire airgun market's big. That market's smaller, but I think it was important for us to make a name for that before we branched into, lighter hunting ones possibly in the future,
Hmm.
mechanical ones in the future, other options. But like
Well,
it's all, like a
yeah,
paintball guns and air rifle too. So
yeah.
if you know electropneumatics and you know pneumatics and you have those engineers, it's a pretty simple crossover.
Okay. So going to scout. Because I'm infatuated with air rifles, and now I have like a little Gammo Shadow system. It's a .177 caliber. Now this thing shoots like 2,000 feet per second. And mine's just one of those old
Yeah.
spring breakovers. It's not the air systems that y'all built, which y'all's are much higher grade quality,
In
obviously, than
some
what
way,
I'm
these
shooting.
bench rest guns I don't even like though, because it's like they're so good that they take everything away from the shooting. You know what I mean?
So,
And they're weighing them
yeah.
down and minor adjustments. Like you have to weed the windage and things like that when you're shooting and competing. But outside of that, it's like, man,
Thank you.
the less you do, the more you do for these guns. They're shooting sub MOA, no problem at 100 yards at in wind. It's
So
kind of
for
too simple.
everyone. Right. Well, and that's part of a good gun, right? So
Mhm.
everyone that is chiming in that doesn't know what MOA is, it's minute of angle. Now, if you start breaking sub MOA, what happens is you're talking about a gun that is shooting so precisely. To break it down, a gun is shooting so precisely. There's a lot of guesswork that's taken out of it. To break it really down, minute
Yeah.
of angle, I can go on long talks. I'm not going to, but
And
when you
obviously over distance with actual rifles, it's different because you have like the Coriolis effect coming in and changing things. And
right, but you're shooting 1,000 yards
yeah, but I'm
beyond
saying
with the
with an air
Coriolis.
gun, you're talking, 100 to 200 yards being sub MOA
And
is
yeah,
impressive.
yeah, and um, Coriolis effect for people that don't know, I think it's a cool
The
thing.
earth
It's the
spinning,
spin. Yeah, it's the Earth spinning, but you have to when you're
it
shooting that
affects
far
the long
distance,
range shot.
it affects your shot, and you have to calculate and go to that. But that's in a long range rifle. We're talking about stuff that's like 6.5 Creedmoor, 300 Win Mag, things like that. Big calibers, very flat shooting bullets. But anyways, what I think is cool about bench rest is when he talks about bench rest is a competitive side. You're talking about shooting over distance, and you are going into um, you're going into the competitive side of thing when you go to a bench rest gun, and when it's a bench rest gun, it is a long range gun for
Often
whatever.
way heavier, less mobile, you're really weighing them down, taking that a
It's
lot.
it's not something you're freehanding, right?
Correct.
You have to literally put it down on a bench and rest it because they are designed for very high precision. And I know this is kind of we're off paintball now, but I think this is part of lifestyle. This is what we're about. Um, it is a bench rest shooting is a really cool thing, and I think it is a very amazing market for people that want to get into a hobby that actually doesn't exert your physical being, right? Like
Yep.
anybody can go in and bench rest and shoot. And I think that is something that people that aren't either, that are disabled or have, physical limitations, bench rest shooting is a great hobby that you can get into. And I honestly, when you talk about like Scout air rifles, which is a precision air rifle right now, in my opinion, um, you're talking about maybe making more hunting rifles and things like that, which that would be a different subject. But
Yeah, people need something different, lightweight, more versatile, more modular, that they can carry and just kill a bunch of iguanas or gophers if they want.
yeah, because if you haven't ever checked out Python Cowboy, I want to book a hunt with my dad to that down there. He would absolutely love it because you start when you go into that. Now you're creating a different gun, which creates a whole different atmosphere. You got to build a different platform, not necessarily a different barrel. You might go to a lighter barrel because heavy barrels are
Barrels
going
are
to
tricky in,
barrels
the
are
situations. Now, I'm not
so
just talking twist rate and the actual rifling, that everything about them is tricky.
well.
When you're talking
So
about
if you
actual, yeah,
yeah, if you
swim
haven't
rate.
noticed, I'm a gun guy. I'm a very big gun guy. Lots of background with weapons. So when you start changing barrels, when you start thinning them down, creating a different lightweight barrel. What you do is you change your harmonics in your
Yep.
barrel, and which is a vibration through your barrel when you pull that trigger, and how that barrel vibrates is what will make it accurate or inaccurate. If you accidentally touch your barrel when you pull the trigger, you can change the whole harmonic, and then you're going to be off a bunch because
Yeah,
now the
the same
harmonics are
thing will
thrown off.
happen even in a simpler thing like bow shooting or something, which why you see,
Yes.
like, the fluffy little things on the strings, and
Hmm.
those things are sound dampening, but they're also harmonic dampening.
Yes, exactly. And if what's cool, I'm gonna throw in the Discord, the Rowdy Ones Discord. If you have any gun questions, anything from like what do you want for your first rifle, things like that, please jump into the
Yeah, what's
Discord.
good to carry, how to carry, guns, different laws in different states, anything. We like, you know, we like man shit. Guns,
we
knives, people, whiskey.
and this is a great place for you to jump in the Discord and ask questions. I have a extensive background on weapons and guns, knives, carry. It's funny what was it? You at Tampa said, "I love everything you have is carry." Like from my fanny pack to my shorts I'm wearing right now, they're 5-inch concealed carry shorts. They're designed to carry. I have joggers that are designed to carry. Everything I own is designed to carry because I want the aspect of being able to carry with whatever my daily lifestyle is. So I think this is a really cool part. If you ever want to jump in the Discord, you want to build your first rifle, have it hunting, AR, pistols, shotguns. I'm a huge hunter. Um, I can help you with all that, and I enjoy talking about it, obviously. So if you ever have questions, please jump in the Discord. Please ask. I'm going to be very active in this. I'm really excited for the Discord. But back on track, okay? So you're with DLX now, and then am I am I allowed to give flowers to your like your sweet baby girl and
course.
wife. Okay.
Yeah, they can have
So,
those powers they want.
okay, yeah. Sadly, I have not gotten the opportunity to meet your sweet
Yeah,
wife yet. That's
yeah,
correct, yet. But I would love to either come out there, my wife and I, to come out and obviously
yeah.
see y'all, or if y'all want to ever come out for a Colorado vacation, we obviously have a guest room. Um, we live right next to Rocky Mountain National Park. So, but anyways, you do have a beautiful sweet girl who
Yeah, she's
is.
trouble.
I wonder who
Not
she takes
just
after.
I don't know, me or her mom were the same person, just different sexes. It was we were in for trouble from the start.
And that's a blessing though, because
Yeah,
you're on the
people
same
say
page.
opposites attract, but likes can attract too.
You know what's funny? I agree with that. My wife, the most saintly person ever. And when we were first dating, I was like, babe, do not fight this person. She's almost 5'2". Rowdy as can be. No kids yet. It's in the future, but no kids yet.
Still be rowdy.
Um,
You don't lose that.
no,
You
no.
just you just change what you focus it towards.
Right. You bring the rowdy into a different direction. So, how old is your sweet girl?
She'll be 3 on Mishka's birthday this April.
Wow. 15th?
Yeah, correct. Yeah.
15th. Wow. It's coming up fast.
It is, yeah. I told her, I was like, "You're gonna be 3 soon." She said, "No,
No.
not yet." It's like, well, okay.
So she is absolutely adventurous. When I'm on the phone call with you, I mean, I hear her in the background.
Oh, she's all
Just,
action all the time.
oh,
I
full,
had her
full.
longboarding today. Like I got home from work. My wife was waiting. We were gonna go for a walk. I grabbed the longboard. She's like, "Faster, Daddy, faster!" She just holds my hand and we cruise on it. Never fast enough for her. There's a real steep hill by our house. And she's like, "Let's go down this." I was like, "I can't even do this by myself on a longboard right now. Like, I definitely can't do it with you."
Oh, dude, longboards. Me and longboards. I had some friends
They're
talk me
tricky.
in.
They're kind of tricky.
Bro, first time I ever rode a longboard, I was 4 months. I wasn't even weight bearing on my leg. I
Yeah.
spiral fractured. For everyone that's listening, I spiral fractured my tibia. Nasty 3 piece. I have a 10-inch plate, 8 screws. I'm getting surgery May 22nd to get this out. Super excited. But I had my friends, and I was like so bedridden. Like, I mean, I was on crutches and stuff, but I was like, I'm over it.
Yeah, you're a stubborn boy.
Oh yeah, stubborn doesn't even start. But they were like, let's go longboard a parking garage, and then we had to run from the cops. And then I was like all gimpy. I'm like, I'm
You
I'm
run
not.
less from that though than base jumping.
Fuck you. No. So the the longboard fractured tibia. Highly recommend. Don't rec. I 10 out of 10. Don't recommend. But
I remember when I was a little kid, like before I ever broke a bone, I was always like, "Man, I really want to break a bone." First bone I ever
it's
broke, I
worse.
shattered my elbow. I've broken so many things since then. Don't ever want to do that. It's horrible.
No, it's awful. It is 10 out of 10. Do not recommend.
Sometimes it's not so bad if it's just a finger or a toe or something, but like, man, once you start talking about s- spiral fractures or your tibia or broken elbows or jaws and stuff, man,
Oh yeah,
no good.
flowers on that. Sorry, I got to plug in my.
No, we don't need to be talking about broken bones right now.
Oh,
We'll
it's a
save
good
it for
time.
another episode.
Fine. You're being lame tonight.
No, I'm not being lame.
Yeah, you are. A little bit. It's all right. Um, so how long you been had the pleasure of being married for?
It'll be 6 years this October.
Your October wedding?
Yeah,
So yeah, when's yours?
the 19th.
Natalie and I got ours on the 3rd.
Yeah,
We
we were 2019, so we just beat COVID, had a fun more of a party than a wedding. But I think it's important, people to do whatever you want for your wedding. You don't need to go to standards, what everyone expects you to do. Just do whatever make you and your future wife happy, you know?
Oh, I agree. So my wife and I, oh my gosh, it's gonna be 5 years. We got
Oh, so
married
you
on
got married on COVID.
in COVID.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I'm trying to find my there it is.
You're good. You're good. I'm just trying not to pee my pants.
Go take a bathroom break. I'll talk.
No, 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 no. I pride myself on being able to hold it.
Okay. Anyways, here's the pride. Um,
Stubborn.
so
It's more stubbornness than pride.
stubborn is involved in pride. I don't care what anybody
Yeah.
says.
They're closely related.
100%. But my wife and I actually I booked it right before February, so really before the outbreak of COVID. Um, I had booked a trip in June, 10-day trip in Ireland. I was going to propose to her, full paid for, horse ride in Belfast. Um,
That's pretty awesome.
Dude, yeah, horse ride on the beach in Belfast. Like it was going to be a beautiful thing. I was going to propose to her there. We had a night in the castle. We were going to um, yeah, we were going to do a whole loop around Ireland: Cobb Court, Galway, Shannon.
You're
Gonna
gonna
go,
kiss the Blimey Stone.
even though they piss on it. Yeah, it's fine.
Who cares? It rains on it
It's
too.
sterile. It's
It rains
sterile.
on. Yeah.
But yeah, no, I'd been to
If I
Ireland
was right
before,
there, I wouldn't have
so
not kissed it.
yeah. Well, I mean, I'd been to Ireland before, so I had
And
everything booked up. What's up?
yeah, I've
And
only
what?
ever been to Dublin. I really like Ireland. I was gonna
Dude,
say,
we should.
but have you ever
we-
kissed it?
Yeah, yeah, I have.
Exactly. So don't you be bringing up the piss.
Oh, I'm not scared of it, dog.
Don't
Like
act like you're too good for it.
I'm not. It's my heritage.
I'm a
Um,
little Irish, believe it or not.
I can believe it. You
Mostly
know what we
Italian, and then
should?
I'm a bunch of other shit stuff.
Right, kind of mutt after Italian.
Yeah, I'm like 50% Italian, 25% Polish, then I'm German, English, Irish to
You
make
know,
up
it'd
the
be
last.
super fun. Let me plan a trip, super cheap. We all go to Ireland together. That'd be super dope.
I like
Because
Ireland. I like Gaelic football. I love Guinness. I like
dude,
whiskey.
I love the people. They're dope.
I know some of them are hard to understand, but I love them.
Oh yeah, you get into the
I
dirty
pride
stuff.
myself in being able to understand people based on like eye
Good luck.
contact and hand motions over what they're actually saying.
Mm,
One time, me and my wife traveled to Cuba, and like she speaks a little bit of Spanish, and I don't speak like any Spanish,
none.
and I
Yeah.
could still talk to people like that don't speak any English better than her. She's like, "How do you do that?" She's like, "I just look at you and you're," and like she's like,
I
"You
understand.
guys for sure know what each other are saying," but she's like, "I don't really understand how." I was like, "I don't know. I've always been good at that."
That's awesome. Little nuances of Ryan Moorhead. Um, but we were gonna go, and she told me she was like, if we would have went, she was like, I would have eloped. Like we
Yeah,
would have just done it in Ireland, which would have been cool. But COVID happened. Dad married us. We had 40 people, and we had a party. Wedding only lasted 10 minutes. All Western. Grew up in Texas, being a cowboy, country boy. So it was all Western. We all wore boots. My dad had a big Western frock coat, cowboy hat. My dad officiated it for us. It was a great time. I actually wouldn't change that wedding for anything. And the funniest thing is when we got engaged, because I was going to do it over there, and then I had to figure something out. The first place I took her, I used to have a off-road built FJ 07. It was lifted toy tech suspension, like built to truly off-road. It got like 10 miles to the gallon on the highway, 7 in the city. Um, And I took her. She'd never been up, and where we live in Colorado, I took her up Corona Pass, and there's this old wooden trestle where the train used to come across, and you can only access it really by 4x4. So since then, that was one of our first dates actually,
That's
and then
cool.
since then, what was really cool was I bought a Toyota Tundra. It was a TRD, not lifted. I sold my FJ, and there was this huge. The road was so messed up. I couldn't get up there, and I was like, and I was so frustrated. I'm like, I'd already planned one engagement. Now the other one's going to shit. And I brought everything up, told her it was like this whole thing. So we backed up and did it on this fire road up Corona Pass. Worked out. 3 months later, it was funny. Everyone thought we were pregnant because it was like we were like,
Yeah.
let's just get married.
That's quick. You were like, bam, bam.
Yeah, we got married and we got engaged in August, married in October.
That is
Everyone thought we
quick.
were.
That's
Oh,
pretty quick. But that has to be so nice because you avoided like so many months of like the heartache of planning a wedding.
so you know what's crazy? We didn't have a place booked. We booked a place up here. There was the troublesome fire that was, I kid you not, it was
Troublesome.
Colorado's largest. Yeah, it was Colorado's largest. But
Sorry,
you're
I am a
good.
dad now. I can't help but the dad.
Dad jokes are legit. No, it was a troublesome trouble fire, for
Yeah.
sure. So it was the Colorado's largest fire in history, and then it joined up with the Cameron fire, and they both met, and it was a bad, bad fire. Even in our pictures, so you can see it's foggy and like hazy in the
Oh
background.
yeah, I've been in some like around some forest fires before. Like one time in Australia, we were there and like kind of right near the field. We woke up and then like it was summer in Australia too. We'd wake up to
Oh
go out and it was like ash was on your car like snow is in the
yeah,
winter for us. It's like you had to put your windshield wiper on and wipe ash away. It's like, are we too close to this fire? We might be too close to this fire.
we're not dead. No one's come for us yet, so we're
Yeah, yeah.
fine.
It feels comfortable still.
Yeah, we're okay. We're
Feels like
okay.
a normal summer
But what's cool is that haze made for beautiful pictures.
for sure.
But we had rented a place that was massive house in the county. It had like 13, 14 beds in it, and it was on 17 acres, and we just threw it all together. We didn't have a rehearsal dinner, we didn't have nothing. We just threw it all together and then had a
Yeah,
wedding. And
that's
it was
awesome.
like the day of, like everyone, we figured it out. They're like, how are we doing this? I'm like, you walk this person, you walk this person, you walk this person.
You're
That's
like,
it.
we're doing it.
Yeah,
That's how
it doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. So
because I'm
it was
not worried
great.
about the picturesque aspect of this. I'm worried about like people enjoying themselves, having a good time, and doing good with people I care about.
Yep. And my dad asked me, he was like, how long you want it? 10 minutes tops.
Oh, yeah.
I said 10 minutes. I said, we want it to be a party. And that's the best part of a wedding is the
Yep.
celebration, you know.
Yep.
But anyways, so y'all been married coming up 6 years, beat COVID. Um, how long were y'all together before that?
Oh, she'll probably be mad at me for not knowing, but that's not my strength is remembering exact
That's
dates
fine.
and times. But like
Yeah,
we were together for probably 5, 6 years before that. But like we've known each other for longer. Like actually, like
yeah. How'd
so
y'all meet?
so my best friend at the time went to private school and he was like I'm 16, 17 at the time. I don't know,
Mhm.
15. And I actually went like she taught me and my best friend how to snowboard the first day we ever snowboarded. So
Oh,
that's how
no
we
way.
met. So I met her on a mountain, like a local small mountain when I was like,
Yeah,
I don't know, 16-ish. And then we were just friends for a bunch of years. And then she moved around and I was busy doing stuff and we never really dated because we were always just friends. And then like
yeah,
when we kind of reconnected, like, I
yeah,
don't know, we always liked each other. Always,
yeah. Just hit off.
yeah.
That's awesome.
So
Was it,
when we came back together, it was like it just made sense.
yeah. Was it, did y'all go to Seven Springs?
We were at Hidden Valley at the time, so
Okay.
she used to live we did used to go to Seven Springs a lot, but Hidden Valley was just on the other side of the mountain,
Yeah,
and at
yeah,
the time, she lived there, so, like, we used to always get in trouble too because we she used to live at, like, a condo on the top of there, so, like, at night when the mountain was closed and stuff, we just would cruise down and always get
yeah.
caught. kicked out, and we're like, well, we don't have our pets on us, and we're not telling you our name. So this is before
Right.
cell phones that people readily had them, and like
Yeah.
internet and stuff. So you just were like, well, we're going to hold you here, and we're like, well, we're not saying anything, so call the cops, and then they just let you go.
Yeah.
Then we'd be there the
Oh,
next day, snowboarding in the day.
there you go. That's awesome. No, that's great. I know it's getting late for you. We've been here for 2:35.
Yeah, and we had a little defunct episode before this, small.
We did. We did.
It's just a
I think
smidge.
I think we kind of hit the nail. We had a great episode.
For sure.
Let's wrap it up. Let's end it with some dad advice. Come on
Okay.
now. Come on now. What's some great dad advice you can give?
Spend quality time with them when they're young because they're literally like sponges, little versions of you, but like they try to emulate you too. So the more time that you can put into them, I think the better you're setting themselves up for success. And that's like obviously I'm new to this, it's whatever, but like just really enjoy all the different moments, good and bad, because most of them are good, and some days can feel like an eternity, but like
Yeah.
years go by like in an instant. So just try to like give them make more time for them, give them all the attention they deserve, because all they care about is you and the time that you're giving them. So
That's awesome. That's great. Um, we are about to shut it down. We'll get you another podcast. You will have 3 podcasts uploaded all at once. We will drop this once we get our third podcast up.
give them a couple
Or
days in between, right? Or you're dropping them
yeah.
all at once.
Mm, no, I'm gonna drop them all at once.
Oh, okay. I don't care. I was just wondering.
Yeah, nope, I'm gonna
First time
drop them
hearing
all.
about it.
Yeah. Well, it's how Apple
Well, hey,
App,
listen, I trust you fully. You don't even have to explain
I
it.
know.
Definitely not
A-
here.
Apple, if you have 3 episodes, Apple puts you as a better viewing rate. So
Yeah,
we're
yeah,
gonna
yeah.
do it all at once,
Tight.
just so Apple gives us that
I like
benefit.
it.
The next thing is don't forget to check out the Rowdy Ones Discord.
Hmm.
I'm gonna have this on Spotify, Apple, and we're
YouTube.
gonna we're gonna do YouTube. Yep, I'm gonna get that squared away in the next coming days. Um, we're also gonna have an Instagram page. The Rowdy Ones
Yep.
is all it's gonna be. So
We're working on some new logos. We'll get you an intro soon. But breaking into this easy.
yeah, we are, and I hope you enjoyed this. Please be sure to
Stay
um,
rowdy.
absolutely stay rowdy. Enjoy life, love it, be rowdy with the people you love, be the youth of life. And I greatly appreciate anyone who shares this, listens to this, enjoys this. If you have questions, please bump into the Discord. We
And
don't
if you have
have
critiques, please let us know. We'd like to
Yeah,
hear from you. We won't necessarily take it to heart, but we'll listen to it. And
yeah,
like we,
well,
we want to make the best thing for the people that are listening. So if you care enough to listen and you have some critiques, we would love to hear them.
yep. And in Discord, that'll be a place where you can talk about. We have a whiskey corner that is obviously for age verified. We are going to have a paintball section. There's a live section. We'll have a podcast section as well where you can talk
It'll
about the
grow as we grow.
podcast,
Yeah.
what you, yeah, absolutely. And there's no charge to be in our Discord. So join up before maybe one day that it does get to a Patreon subscription because you'll be grandfathered in if we go that route. Um, if you have things that you want to hear us talk about and bring up
Or
to subject
questions,
or
life, whatever.
yeah, exactly. That's a place where we are going to be active and we're really excited about to be able to stay in touch with everyone who wants to be a part of this. So just want to give a huge shout out to Houston Heat, Mama D, Sarge, the team. Um, we wouldn't be here if it wasn't for that. I don't think our paths would have crossed. So
I don't know.
you know
You told me that like Was it just from Houston Heat time that you guys used to watch?
What's that?
I think our lives would have crossed. I think sometimes people are meant to cross one way or the other.
For sure. But the chances would have been more slim.
They would have been slim.
So, shout out to all those people that have been just a contributing factor to making this happen easier.
Yeah.
So, anyways, with that,
And shout
you
out
know,
to anyone that gives us the time to, spend their time listening to this,
100%. Uh,
that's really what the main shout out is to, to people
it's
that love and care about the same things we do.
Yep, that's it. And huge shout out to y'all, like he said, because y'all are our driving force and y'all are the inspiration. And we are happy to have you behind our backs and just obviously super blessed. So, with that being said, I think that's the conclusion of episode 2. And we will see you in the next one. And